The following is a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.
12 drivers, 10 races, 1 champion. Time, racing's most precious commodity. Teams spend fortunes to save the smallest fraction of victory's measure. For those running like clockwork, time slows down. There is no rush, no panic. For those who are not, chances must be taken, danger embraced. Because here, there's not a second to lose, but an entire season. Now, they chase history on a paperclip paved by legends. As the clock keeps its relentless ticking, these four-wheeled time machines must pursue their finest hour. For with every race they run, time is running out.
As the clock keeps ticking on the championship hopes of many, the chase for the Sprint Cup returns to the sports roots, Martinsville, Virginia. Population 14,000 and change. It's a small town that's home to a small track, but a track with big action and big history. The Martinsville Speedway, where they've been holding these races since 1949. It's just over half a mile around, the smallest on the circuit, but it's a tough test of a driver's skill and patience and a big strain on every nut and bolt in these machines. If there's a weakness in car or driver, this place will find it. 500 laps of fender-bending, temper-boiling racing's ahead as the chase for the Sprint Cup comes to Martinsville.
T-minus 10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ignition.
ESPN welcomes you to NASCAR Countdown for the battle in the bull ring as race 6 in the chase for the Sprint Cup comes to the Martinsville Speedway in Martinsville, Virginia. After rain washed out all practice on Saturday, it's a nice day for the race today. A little chilly, a little breezy. Driver introductions are underway along the main straightaway. And when they introduce the 15th place starter, they'll be introducing the leader of this championship, Jimmie Johnson, who's won 3 of the first 5 chase races, including an impressive hard-fought victory a week ago in Charlotte.
Pit road will erupt with activity here.
Go, 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 all out. Oh, you got him, baby, you got him.
Jimmie Johnson won the race off over Casey Kane.
New leader, 48. Good job, my man.
It's his 3rd win in the chase, his 6th win this season as Jimmie Johnson drives to victory tonight.
Absolutely fantastic effort, Jimmy. Absolutely fantastic.
And now Jimmie Johnson comes to the track where he has dominated, winning 6 of the last 7. You know, when you say that, it almost makes it seem like it's too easy. I know it's not as easy as it sounds. What's the most difficult part of this track and the challenge you have here today?
Man, it's not really just one thing here. There are so many issues you have to worry about, you know, taking care of your brakes and traffic and forward bite and all the things we talk about. And then now we're adding a double file restart to that equation as well. So it's going to be a stressful day. Thankfully, it's a track that I really enjoyed driving at. We had a great practice session, you know, Friday when we got on track. So I'm looking forward to it, and I really hope to give all the Los and Below owners something to cheer about this afternoon.
You qualified 15, so you're a little deeper on pit lane maybe than what you would like. What kind of challenge does that create for you?
We ended up with a decent stall with the guys that are around us. Hopefully we can stay ahead of them and should make life a little bit easier. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. You got to qualify better. And I thought I ran a great lap, expected to be up there in the top 3 or 4, and it ended up being 15th. So you know, it takes a lot to get this place right. And I'm not the best on the short runs or on qualifying laps, but come race time, we're in good shape.
Well, they are indeed. Jimmie Johnson, he'll start 15th, Alan.
All right, Vince, thank you. While Jimmie Johnson was winning that Charlotte race, those closest to him in the standings were all having tough nights. Juan Pablo Montoya suffered fender damage on a restart that led to a spin and a 35th place finish. Tony Stewart's car just never handled right all night. No adjustment, no strategy his team tried seemed to help. He finished 13th. And Mark Martin struggled to a 17th place finish, his car picking up damage in that same restart shuffle as Montoya. A tough night all around for those chasing Jimmie Johnson. Those drivers struggling while Jimmie was winning took a very close championship and opened it up a good bit. That 90-point gap from first to second place in the standings is the largest ever in the chase with 5 races to go. So how do those drivers go about trying to get back in it? Jamie Little is with the third-place driver in points, Jeff Gordon.
And Jeff Gordon definitely has momentum on his side. The last couple of weeks have been good, especially at the finish, Jeff. But you know, this championship is wide open for you and a handful of drivers. But how do you put the brakes on Jimmy Johnson today?
Well, you know, it's not necessarily putting the brakes on him. It's about us going out and doing everything we can to perform and, you know, lead laps and hopefully, you know, get a win or at least, you know, get a great finish. And then, you know, you just have to look at the points at the end of the day to see what they did. They've been performing well. I feel like, you know, and we were just in a team meeting, and I feel like the first 5, we've done an excellent job staying in it. And these next 5, you know, are all about, you know, what we're going to be able to do to execute great finishes to go out and win this championship. And I think we're very capable of doing it. And today certainly could be a good day for us, you know, with this DuPont National Guard.com Chevrolet. But we got to go out and earn it. We got to work hard at it.
Jeff, it's said that you guys, in 500 laps here, you're going to brake about 1,000 times. What have you learned, and what do you do to protect your left foot against blisters?
Well, and that's not to take into account, you know, just warming up the tires during the cautions, how much you use the brakes then too. So yeah, you know, over the years I've learned a lot about my brake pedal. We're still always playing around with master cylinders and pads and all those things, just trying to get better. But I do a little bit different, you know, I have a different shoe that I run for this racetrack specifically that just has a little bit stiffer sole in it to not allow the shoe to flex as much, so that I can, you know, push on that pedal 1,000 times and not get blisters, or even your foot can fall asleep sometimes by pushing on it so hard.
Wow, tips of the trade from a 7-time winner here, and today he rolls off second, Alan.
Okay, Jamie, thanks. So Jeff Gordon's car lined up on the grid. How tight is this track? Well, by the time you put 43 cars, crews, and their equipment inside, there's not room for much else. So our ESPN pit studios, perched on the hill between the track and the railroad tracks that run nearby. We welcome you inside. Alan Bestwick, Big Brad Daugherty, and 7-time Martinsville race winner Rusty Wallace. Who better to ask about the challenge these drivers are going to face running 500 laps on this little bull ring today?
You hit the nail on the head. It is going to be a challenge, and it's going to be the ultimate test of patience, that's for sure. These guys have got to keep their cars together. They can't tear the fenders off, tear the brakes up, wipe out the equipment, because if they do that, they're not going to make it to the end. So very, very patient.
For those guys that are closest to Jimmy Johnson in points, who lost all that ground in Charlotte a week ago, Brad, how do they get back in it?
It's going to be difficult today. I mean, we come to this racetrack. Jimmy Johnson, out of the last 3,010 laps, has led 1,021 of those laps in 5 of the last 6 races. I think the thing that's going to be interesting, though, is the guy who starts second and the guy who starts 4th, which are his teammates, Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin, are the 2 guys that can give him the most competition today. Mark Martin said yesterday that he still believes after they get through Talladega next week, they'll have a clear picture of who's going to do what in the championship. I disagree. I think it happens today. If Jimmy Johnson dominates today the way he has in the past, it'll be over.
As Jimmy on stage getting some of the awards from his win at Charlotte a week ago. By the way, talking about Jimmy starting back in 15th for this race, a look at where Johnson has started in his 6 Martinsville wins shows he's come from further back than that twice. I believe Vince mentioned that a minute ago, 18th and 20th. So the numbers say if you're a Jimmy Johnson fan, not to worry. And if you're a Jimmy Johnson foe, you still better watch out.
He's only 7 rows back.
Rusty, for Jimmy starting 15th, and Denny Hamlin also very good here, starting 17th. What do they have to watch out for trying to get to the front from the middle of the pack?
Well, the biggest thing got to do, Alan, is not tear their car up getting to the front. I mean, they can get sucked into thinking they've got to drive harder than they really need to do early in this race. Early in the race, keep the fenders on it. Don't hit the curb on the inside. That's another big problem that can happen. So really take care of your car. Back to what I said earlier. Be patient, man. It's early. Once you get there, then you can race.
That's exactly right. Coach Dean Smith used to tell us when we played basketball, he'd say, be quick, but don't hurry. It's the same thing with this. Don't be too aggressive, but drive hard. So that's what these guys have to do. Take care of the fenders, keep them clean, stay off those splitters, because those cut down rear tires, and march to the front.
Be quick, but don't hurry.
Be quick, but don't hurry.
I like that. Driver introductions continue as we close in on the start of the 122nd Sprint Cup Series race at Martinsville. And nobody would be surprised if the winner today came from Hendrick Motorsports. They've won 10 of the last 13 here. Mark Martin, one of their 4 entries in the field. He starts 4th today. When NASCAR Countdown continues, we reflect on a tragedy some 5 years ago that could have stopped the Hendrick team in its tracks, but instead has somehow made it even stronger.
How do you put something like that aside? You don't ever get it out of your mind. Here's a man that lost his brother, 2 nieces, and a son, and a plane load of friends.
NFC East rivals clash this week on ESPN's Monday Night Football as Donovan McNabb and the Philadelphia Eagles take on Clinton Portis and the Washington Redskins. Eagles-Redskins, ESPN's Monday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern. Coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 7 Eastern. It was April 1984 here at Martinsville when Jeff Bodine won for a new team owner, Rick Hendrick, whose fledgling operation was close to shutting down for a lack of sponsorship. That win was the first of what is now 18 Martinsville victories for Hendrick Motorsports. All of the success and glory that the Hendrick team has enjoyed at this track over the years will be forever overshadowed by a day 5 years ago as drivers were preparing to compete in this race when a tragedy unfolded nearby that left NASCAR's most successful team of this decade asking why and how. Why do we do this, and how do we go on?
The FAA reported they lost contact with a Hendrick Motorsports airplane inbound for Martinsville earlier today.
On October 24, 2004, just hours before the race, a plane carrying 10 members of the Hendrick Motorsports family crashed in the Virginia mountains only miles from the track. There were no survivors.
We were running the race and people knew. We didn't know. As drivers, we didn't know. And Jimmy won the race.
Jimmy Johnson picks up his 6th win of 2004.
Chad cues up the radio and it's like, man, they don't want you to do any burnouts or go to victory lane. Come straight to pit road. And when I climbed out of the car, I could see my publicist and her eyes were swollen, and I knew something bad at that point had happened.
I just had a feeling in the pit of my stomach that something was wrong, and they took us to the trailer, and that was it.
How do you put something like that aside? You don't ever get it out of your mind. Here's a man that lost his brother, 2 nieces, and a son, and a plane load of friends.
I think Rick described it to me better than anyone when he said, you know, it's like my arm has been cut off.
You can't prepare for anything like that. You just can't prepare for the shock and the hurt and the grief and that you go through.
There were a lot of thoughts of why are we in this business and we got to travel and take these risks and do these things and we're on our way to a race.
You'd think after something that devastating that you'd go somewhere that it's like, okay, I can't go into work, I got to regroup. Well, everybody came here. This is where everybody came for to get through it.
The ones you lost loved that place, and they wanted to be a part of that place. And the last thing they'd want you to do is not go back.
I remember Dad saying, I've got to go back, but I don't know what to say. But I've got to go back.
Within a couple of days, he came back and met with all of us in our meeting room, the whole company. And, he was strong enough to stand up there and motivate us when it should be the other way around. He just said that this is where he wants to be, that these are the people that he cares about, and this is what keeps him going. And
had this message of solidarity and strength and perseverance and hope.
You tell yourself, what would they want you to do? What would Ricky and John and the girls and Randy, what would they want you to do?
The answer to what now was that we have to go to Atlanta and we race. That's what we do.
Johnson trying to do something special for all the people at Hendrick Motorsports and take the family to victory lane.
Atta buddy, come on, bring it home. Bring it home.
Jimmy Johnson. He wins in Atlanta for Hendrick Motorsports.
In loving memory all the way.
A week later, you know, the same thing that maybe questioned your thoughts about the sport starts the healing.
You got it. I'm glad. I love you, bud. This is unbelievable. I just talked to Rick on the phone. He said, put my hat on backwards for little Ricky. So there it is for little Ricky. Randy Dorton, Joe Jackson, Liz and Dick, Jeff Turner. I had 10 angels riding on this race car.
In the 5 years since the crash, Hendrick Motorsports has won 3 championships and are now competing for a historic 4th straight title. An enduring tribute to the 10 people lost that day.
We never forget those people, and they made a tremendous contribution. They made the biggest contribution in life you could make, and that's giving it their lives, you know, to something they loved. And I know that they're smiling, thinking, well, we're getting it done.
Understandably, after that terrible tragedy, this Martinsville track was a place that Rick Hendrick had great difficulty coming back to, but he did eventually return, and Mr. Hendrick is here today to watch his teams continue their pursuit of the Sprint Cup Championship and another Martinsville victory. Mr. Hendrick along pit road talking to Ron Malik, one of the team leaders of the 48 car. A tragedy like that, Brad, could have completely stopped this team, and yet somehow it seems to have made them stronger. How?
Yeah, you know, you can't help but feel the incredible emotion when you watch that piece of the irreplaceable loss of family. And when I say family, I don't mean just immediate family. I'm talking about this Hendrick Motorsports company, which is synonymous with family. All these people are one, and it's incredible. They pursue excellence in their trade and what they do. They're on top of their game all of the time. And the people that were lost in this horrific event were a huge part of that. And you heard Rick Hendrick say, you know, we have to continue on before them. You know, it's almost like he's doing it for them. He feels a debt to those people who've given so much for his company. And they continue to pursue excellence, and, you know, as those who are no longer here would want them to do. It's just an incredibly strong presence by Rick Hendrick, an incredible story.
Remarkably, the top 3 cars in this championship are all Hendrick Motorsports entries. Even the 4th place car in points, Tony Stewart, gets engines and chassis and engineering support from Hendrick Motorsports. Rusty, what are they doing now in this age of incredible parity in NASCAR? This team is obviously better than everybody else. Why?
Well, Alan, one of the main reasons is that they got some of the best drivers out there. They got Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, and that guy right there, Tony Stewart, who's a satellite team. Those guys give incredible feedback. They know what they're doing. They know how to win. But also incredible engineering this team has. These guys have surrounded themselves with wonderful, smart people, and they just keep continuing on with these fantastic performances. And you know what, Brad, it just doesn't surprise anybody.
Yeah, no, you're right. They do an incredible job with their resources, and they have tremendous resources. And begrudgingly, you hear a lot of people say that, but you have to be able to utilize that talent. And even with my race team, when I look at what they do compared to what I'm trying to do, it's incredible. Their consistency, their performance, and their drive is second to none, and that's why they're the best.
Don't hear many drivers say to their team owners, I love you, man, like we heard Jimmy Johnson say to Rick Hendrick in the piece, but that's the standard to which they hold, that man, those who work for him. So will it be one of Rick Hendrick's drivers or one of the other 39 taking home the grandfather clock as the Martinsville winner today? And just what are we going to see as these drivers grind out 500 laps on this tough little bull ring? That to come when NASCAR Countdown continues from Martinsville, plus the culinary creation that's a Martinsville must for many.
Man, we're talking real stuff now. The heck with racing. Let's get on these hot dogs, baby. Welcome to Martinsville.
Race number 6 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup getting set to go at Martinsville Speedway in Martinsville, Virginia. Now, every track on the NASCAR circuit has things that make it unique. One of those here in Martinsville comes in a little piece of wax paper at the concession stand.
We're here in Martinsville, Virginia. The most important thing when you come to Martinsville is the Martinsville hot dog, a cultural icon here in Martinsville. How many hot dogs dogs you guys serve during a race weekend, do you think?
5,000 maybe.
Really? 5,000 hot dogs?
Probably. A lot of the pit crew, you know, they'll have a challenge of who can eat the most.
You got some boys in here that had a couple?
This is the story I hear.
Is that right?
I down about 50 hot dogs in the 3-day weekend.
What's up with the color of these hot dogs? They're like a magenta red or something. What's up with that, man?
They're the Jesse Jones hot dog. You're not going to get them anywhere else but Martinsville.
Jesse Jones secret, I guess.
Jesse Jones secret. All right, I got you.
Once you get over the pink, it's unbelievable. They taste great.
I need to try one of these hot dogs. All right, here we go. Oh, man, that's good. Oh, that's so good. Anytime you come to Martinsville, come on by and get you one of these hot dogs. They're outstanding.
That's it.
Just so you know, that's a hot dog with chili, coleslaw, and mustard on the bun.
Onions.
And you had one for
man.
breakfast at 9 o'clock.
I had one at about 8:45 this morning. I thought I was tough, but the gentleman beside me had an adult beverage in one, so he was even tougher.
Yeah, an interesting start on the day. Thank you, Mr. Daugherty.
And you've been eating Tums ever since.
Ever since.
All right. As mentioned, this little paperclip-shaped track's a big stress test for race cars. If there's a weakness in your machine, Martinsville Speedway is going to find it. With a look at some of the high-stress areas, let's go to our Craftsman Tech Garage and Tool Time Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, AB. Hey, the most important thing is the brakes on the race car. You have to take care of the brakes because if you don't, you're not going to have much success here. But again, you've got to cool the brakes, but there again, you got to have this air intake for the engine. The radiator, you got to have a lot of airflow. The next thing, the rear brakes on the car. If you lock the wheels up getting down in the corner, it has a lot of effect because right here is the ring gear and pinion. At this particular racetrack, we pull a 650 to 1 gear ratio, the lowest gear we pull all year. And it helps you accelerate up off the corner, also stops you getting down in the corner. If you don't take care of all these items, you're not going to win the race here at Martinsville. AB?
Appreciate it, Tim. Thank you much. Now, that's some of the obstacles for the car during the race. Let's talk about some of the obstacles a driver has to watch out for.
Some of the obstacles, you're going to see obstacles all day long. I mean, that curb right there is one of them. That baby there is going to come into play. Let's watch this. Look at all this traffic they're going to have to get themselves involved in. Side by side, 4 or 5 inches apart throughout the day, bumping and bamming. Ooh, look at that. Bam, right in the rear end. And every time that happens, you got to say, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Have patience. Very, very tight quarters. And as you get in the corner, there's that curb. That curb's going to bounce into that car on the outside. A lot of times they spin.
Yeah, what happens, these guys are all jammed up and they're running two abreast down the racetrack. Someone checks up 4 or 5 cars up, you don't see it, and you get into one another. And let's not forget that splitter that cuts down a lot of rear tires.
The old accordion. Now, pit road. There's plenty of obstacles on the racetrack. There are obstacles on pit road, too.
Oh, definitely obstacles on pit road, but there's some preferred places to be at. You know, I want to talk about Ryan Newman's pit selection right there. Spot number 1, that's the very best place to pit at. Nobody in front of you. You make your pit stop, you just drive right back on the racetrack. My second best is the opening down here, and who's got it this time? Jeff Gordon, the 24 car. Right in front of Jeff's car, a big opening. That means he can make his pit stop, pull right back out, and not have a problem. But let me tell you one place I do not want to be at. That's in that turn right there. That turn, there's a lot of accidents, a lot of crashes. It's blind coming around that corner. Definitely do not want to be there.
So we'll keep an eye on what's going to happen on that tricky pit road today. The man who starts out front and has that best pit stall selection is Ryan Newman. David?
And Alan, after he finished his second top 10 in a row this year at this place in the spring, you talked about turning a corner for Stewart-Haas Motorsports. What about now, getting the pole, having the best pit selection, and a possibility of taking home the victory here today?
Well, the spring race here was our first time for 2 SHR cars in the top 10, and we'd like to get 2 cars in the top 5 today. That'd be huge. But we have a good car. The U.S. Army Chevrolet was good. Obviously qualified well, but in race trim on Friday, it felt pretty good. And a lot of guys had a day and a half to think about their race cars and make theirs better, so we'll see how we stack up.
He'll lead them to green today, Alan.
All right, Ryan Newman on the pole for this one. As we check now our J-Ski news and notes, the new Ford FR9 engine going to make its debut next weekend at Talladega. David Reagan and Matt Kenseth to run it. Jeff Burton and Casey Mears get new crew chiefs next week. And Michael Waltrip cited for failure to yield after a traffic accident this week when his car was struck by a motorcycle while he attempted to make a U-turn. A couple other quick notes. First time for double file restarts here, and a competition caution at lap 50 because of the rain that washed out yesterday's practice. NASCAR Countdown coming back to Martinsville after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Drivers and teams lined up to salute the fans as part of the pre-race ceremony. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series going racing today on one of the sport's original tracks that hosted an event back in NASCAR's inaugural season of 1949. Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, ready for race 6 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. Our coverage presented by Goodyear. Just as their predecessors have done for over 60 years, drivers about to take on this tough little half mile, looking to grind out a win. And for those in the chase, it's a place where a lot of points can be lost in a hurry if things go wrong. Let's go trackside.
Race fans, at this time, please rise and remove your hats for the presentation of today's colors, our invocation, and our national anthem. Our colors today presented by the Bassett High School Junior ROTC. For our invocation today from Chatham Heights Baptist Church, Mike Hatfield.
Let us pray. Lord God, you're the creator of all things. In you, we have existence. We pray today, Lord, for your presence of safety to be with all the participants, with all the fans. We also pray for your safety to be with all of those men and women who protect liberty for us today. Lord, we just ask that we be reminded to always seek your face and to always look for your presence in our lives. In the name of the one who was, who is, and who is to come, Jesus our Christ. Amen.
And now for today's national anthem, Nashville recording artist Mountain Heart.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Race fans, Nashville recording artist Mountain Heart.
Nice moment. Time for Mark Martin and the other drivers to head for their cars. Buckle in and get ready to go. They've got a hard day's work ahead. The fender bending, temper boiling, hard-nosed short track racing's about to begin when the engines fire at Martinsville next.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC, brought to you by Goodyear, innovative technology to help you get there. Autotrader.com. When you search for a car on Autotrader.com, you can narrow by model, color, and price. Find the car you want at the price you want at Autotrader.com. Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide is on your side. And Toyota, moving forward.
Previously in the chase.
Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to Chile, Charlotte. It's going to be a fast and fun night tonight.
You may be seeing his championship hopes going down the drain here somewhat.
We're all mad, guys. We're all in it together, though, all right? We all make mistakes. We suck at making adjustments!
As Martin really struggling with his race car.
Just best you can here. Car is done anyway.
Jimmy Johnson gets the win.
We just completed the biggest goal of my life. You've got to be kidding me! Woo!
You can't have all good days. We'll go get them next week.
12 drivers, 10 races, 1 champion. Time, racing's most precious commodity. Teams spend fortunes to save the smallest fraction of victory's measure. For those running like clockwork, time slows down. There is no rush, no panic. For those who are not, chances must be taken, danger embraced. Because here, there's not a second to lose, but an entire season. Now, they chase history on a paperclip paved by legends. As the clock keeps its relentless ticking, these four-wheeled time machines must pursue their finest hour. For with every race they run, time is running out.
The clock is ticking today in Martinsville, counting down towards the green flag in race 6 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. Who'll complete these 500 laps in the least amount of time? That's the goal for the 43 drivers in today's race. Will the good times continue for Jimmy Johnson? He's won 3 of the 5 chase races so far and 5 of the last 6 here at Martinsville. And who'll give Jimmy a hard time and stand between the 48 and another Martinsville Grandfather Clock trophy? We're almost out of time to ask these questions. It's almost time to get the race started. You like that?
Man, I love it. I love it.
Rusty always had a good time here. Looking for another one today, huh?
Yeah, it's a fantastic place. I've won here a lot. I love it, man. One of my favorite ones.
Fans of the Grand Marshals for the race, so let's go trackside and get some help with the command to fire these cars up.
Race fans, please direct your attention to the Sprint Vision screen for your countdown to give the most famous words in motorsports.
We are ready to start our engines. Are you? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You heard about it.
That was great.
Look how he's flying.
Little low. 10-4.
You'll see those flags in just a minute, Brad. All the fans are going to wave the green flag to get this race started, too. There you go.
Look at all those green flags. Let's go, baby. Start this thing up, man.
All right. As the drivers get ready to race door to door on the track, let's go upstairs to 3 men who'll run shoulder to shoulder for 500 laps, hopefully without spinning out. Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, and Dr. Sherry Punch. Doc?
Thank you very much, Alan. Hello, everyone. Glad to have you folks with us. Now, folks, you know, we're at the halfway point of the chase, and reigning champion Jimmy Johnson has a 90-point lead coming into what is arguably his best racetrack. So, guys, if Jimmy Johnson is to be beaten here today, who does it and how?
Well, Doc, as I looked at this race and prepared for everything this week, I only saw one driver that can come close to matching and in some cases surpassing Jimmy Johnson's record at this racetrack. He starts on the outside of the front row today. He sits 3rd in the points. Jeff Gordon knows this is his opportunity. They have to reverse this trend. They have to start gaining points on Jimmy Johnson, and they feel like they can do it today.
Well, Denny Hamlin doesn't have the record to quite match Jeff Gordon's. It's good, but not quite that good. But he does have a good race car. Talk to the guys down there in the garage. They feel very confident that they're going to have a car that can win this race. And I went to Chad Knaus and I said, Chad, who do you have to beat to win this race? And he said he said a lot of numbers, but the first number that came out of his mouth was the 11 car.
Now, Denny Hamlin dominated this race back in March, leading almost 300 laps, but did not win the race because with 16 laps to go, there was contact with Jimmy Johnson, and Johnson would win the race, and Hamlin would finish second. Denny said he was still upset about this happening. Guys, does he dare get even here today?
Absolutely does. This is short track racing, and that kind of move is fair game. I mean, he remembers that, and that's the way he's going to be. You asked the how a while ago. That's how he's going to beat Jimmy Johnson today, if he has to. Now, he may not have to. He may have a good enough car, but if he has to, he'll use that move.
Well, it's certainly acceptable. It is short track racing, but I'm going to defer because we have a mailbag question that's going to ask Denny Hamlin about that here in just a minute.
Well, you know, why don't we ask the man himself? Denny Hamlin is our in-race reporter, driving his FedEx Freight Toyota, starting back in 17th position, so let's visit with Denny.
Hey, Denny, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
10-4.
Hey, Denny, we've always heard that drivers have a long memory, but apparently we have a fan in Jonathan from San Antonio, Texas that does too. And he asked, in the spring, Jimmy Johnson took you out of contention for a win at Martinsville. How aggressive will you be if you find yourself in the same situation today?
Aggressive enough to do the same.
Well, I think that's fair enough. You've been very impressive, Denny, since the very first time that you came to this racetrack. This is a track that's given a lot of drivers a lot of problems over the years. Can you give us some insight as to what makes you so good here?
I think, there's a combination of things that, obviously I've got some laps around this racetrack before I even came to the racetrack in the Cup Series. I've ran a lot of late model races here, had some success there. And just the first time I came here, I was, really competitive. And I think once you kind of figure out a racetrack one time and get it right, it's easy to go back and kind of search for that same feel again. And ever since then, I've searched for that feel, and every time I've got it, and we've been competitive and race for race wins here. So I think it's just having success in the past definitely helps your long-term success.
Denny, I know we got a lot of racing to do, but getting down to 40 or 50 laps to go in this race, you can make it on fuel, but are you going to opt for tires or track position? Which do you think is going to be more important here today?
I think it's going to be a little balance to both. I think we're going to have to see how our tire wear kind of works out through the course of the day to see whether we need to pit late for tires, and ultimately you're going to have to see too, whether how many cars are on the lead lap, things like that. Now, all that comes into play whether you decide to pit late or not.
All right, Denny, thanks for talking with us. Have a great day. And now Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Mike Ford.
Hey, Mike Ford, Andy Petrie in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, loud and clear there, Andy.
Hey, Mike, we've seen that the brakes have gotten a lot better on these cars. You develop these things to where they're almost bulletproof, but it's kind of shifted that brake heat problem from the brakes to now the tire beads. We saw some of your teammates have trouble with that here in past races. How are you going to deal with that today?
It kind of works out nice for us, Andy. You hate to have a teammate that has a problem with something, but when they do, you benefit from it on the backside. The brakes with our Raybestos package is really, really good. They don't fade. In the years past, you had that telltale of brake fade with temperature, and you knew to get off of them. But as the brake packages have improved, then the driver doesn't have that signal to back off of them, so that heat has to go somewhere, and it's been going into the beads of the tires, and you see failures on tires due to brake temperature. And in the spring, we had the 18 car had a couple issues, 20 had a couple issues with the bead melting, and we went to work hard on ducting to cool those beads. As you improve one thing, you see the next limiting factor, and that's where we're at right now.
Okay, Mike, good luck today, and thanks very much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Well, including Denny Hamlin, we'll have onboard cameras in 8 cars total, including 7 cars that are in the chase. Kurt Busch, who won here in the fall of 2002 from way back in '36. Tony Stewart, a 2-time winner here. There's the 7-time Martinsville winner, Jeff Gordon. Burton, Montoya, Jimmy Johnson, the points leader and defending race winner, and of course Carl Edwards still looking for that first win. Now, carrying our over-the-wall crew cam today is the front tire changer for Robbie Gordon, Mark Hollywood Armstrong. And Hollywood, how would you describe pit road here at Martinsville?
Well, Doc, it's very hectic down here in pit road, and a lot goes on. Not only is pit road very tight, but about half of the pit stalls here are in the corners, and that makes it very difficult for the pit crews already. And then, oh yeah, there's a pit stop. So up and down pit road, all the teams in the corners will deal with that. But one thing all the teams can agree on, this air blower. It will be a pit crew's best friend today to help with the brake dust. So look up and down pit road, and you'll see a lot of excitement. Shannon?
Well, that's right, Hollywood. Not just difficult for pit crews, also difficult for drivers. And because of that, they need all the help they can get identifying their pit stalls. Now, their crew chiefs must be very precise when counting them in, and pit signs must be easy to identify. Some teams go one step further. You see the numbers written on the side of the wall. When the driver sees his number, he knows he can then start counting down to the time when he makes that left-hand turn into his stall. And Vince, that's when the real fun begins.
Well, Shannon, once they locate their pit stall, then they actually have to get into that pit box, and sometimes that can be quite the challenge here at Martinsville. At 30 feet by 15 feet, these aren't the smallest pit stalls on the circuit, but with some of those pit boxes in the corners, as Hollywood mentioned, the entry angle is complicated. It's a very narrow pit lane, so even on the straightaway, some of these pit boxes are very tough to squeeze into, especially, Dave Burns, when you've got cars on each side of you.
Vince, once you get in, you got to get out. Those drivers are going to crank the wheel hard right and then avoid the car from in front of them. And oh, by the way, the two guys working at the back of that car, but they can't leave too early until their spotter or their crew chief tells them to go. And then they get on that narrow pit road and try to get out.
The number one pit box today is the money spot, and our pulser, Ryan Newman, has that advantage. Now, there's two reasons this is the place to be. Nobody is up ahead of him. He has a clear shutout. Tony Gibson, his crew chief, can change up the strategy and get his driver out. Doc?
This broadcast is available in Spanish by activating your SAP button, presented by ESPN Deportes. Glad to have you with us, folks, getting set for some bumping and rubbing in the bull ring that is Martinsville, Virginia. The fans, 60,000 strong, they wave the green flag here today as we are underway for chase race number 6. First time Ryan Newman has led a lap in a NASCAR Sprint Cup race in 3 events. He will lead him down. First time by Jeff Gordon in second spot, Truex third, and Mark Martin is fourth.
Yeah, that's beginning and start of the race is pretty calm as far as double file. I don't think we'll see things be quite that unexciting maybe later as we get into this race in 500 laps.
We need to mention there will be a competition yellow at lap 50. There was no activity on the racetrack because of rain yesterday as far as the Sprint Cup cars are concerned. Last time they were on the track, Andy, was Friday afternoon in qualifying.
Yeah, that's why NASCAR gives them that 50-lap competition yellow. That way they can kind of feel out their cars here, see what they need to make changes. Here goes Jimmy Johnson by David Reagan. They can feel out, see what they need, and then they can come in and make those changes because they did not get that practice.
See Denny Hamlin already working the outside groove, trying to move on the outside of Clint Boyer. That's a tough road to go here. Now he moves down and will dive into turn 1 on the outside of A.J. Allmendinger.
Yeah, it seems like on restarts you can make that outside groove work for a little bit, but you have to really be careful and make sure that you give yourself a hole to get into.
Yeah, it seems like that'll work for 3 or 4, maybe up to 5 laps. But then after that, it seems like that inside lane really does start to take a hold. And if you don't find a hole to get into, you can find yourself losing a ton of spots.
Yeah, we see that happening to Denny right here. He's got a good race car, but you see Montoya filling that spot also.
Yeah, Montoya gets a little bit loose off turn 2. He's got a hole behind Montoya. The spotter might be telling him that, but now looks like Jamie McMurray's going to fill that hole up.
That is 17th, 18th, and 19th. You saw Tony Stewart there in the front of your screen. You see Jimmy Johnson now working inside of Strimmy to take a spot away. And Johnson now and Stewart, that is 12th and 13th, with Strimmy now back in 14th spot.
Yeah, and you can see what happens right there. Whenever someone takes that spot, it opens up for the guy right behind. And that at times can create problems, but David Reagan was able to make the pass on Strimmy also.
So what happens on the start of the race, it all stacks up on the bottom, and it actually even stacks back up on the straightaway where you have to back off the throttle even earlier than you want to, and that's why that outside lane will roll pretty good until they start to spread out a little bit, and then you can have a little room to race.
You finally see the right side of your screen. Denny Hamlin's been able to get his number 11 car down on the inside groove, and now he can go to work and try to make a pass on the 44.
Oh, got trouble already here.
Marcus Ambrose in the 47, Kenseth, and Robbie Gordon. The 64 car also there. That is Derek Cope.
Back up quick. Come on, back up. Go
The
forward.
leaders are coming here. See all of these guys trying to beat Ryan Newman back, and they're all going to stay on the lead lap.
Didn't take but 7 laps to have a little bumping and grinding here, a little pushing and shoving at Martinsville, and there's the damage on the left front of Ambrose's car. Show you how this all happened. Now there's the 17 of Kenseth.
Yeah, it looks like Matt tried to go in, and he just got in too hard and got up into Marcus Ambrose.
Yeah, he did. He looked like he was trying to make a hole there, Matt was.
Yeah, nice job by Kurt Busch to miss that. He had a qualifying effort back in 37. You can see right there, he's in the back of Michael Waltrip a little bit, but he's able to avoid it.
Clear. Caution's out. One outside.
Well, he just did get around the back of Robbie Gordon. Now watch from the back of Robbie Gordon. There's Michael Waltrip's car. Watch him go by.
Go low.
Yeah, Michael's getting help right from the 2 car there.
You know, something we talked about earlier this week, that you can have accidents, but you don't tear up a lot, so these guys stay running and probably won't see a lot of effect from this.
This thing's so freaking loose in the back end, I can't even make a corner.
Well, that might explain why he moved up there chasing the back end.
Yeah, he just couldn't turn the steering wheel.
Under caution here in the early laps. Caution number 1, lap 7, 4 cars involved. Back in a moment. Getting set for the first ever double foul restart here in the Tums 500 at Martinsville. Ryan Newman is the leader, and he has chosen the inside lane. Jeff Gordon beside him on the outside.
I think we'll probably see that be the case the majority of the day. The inside is the place to be the majority of the time.
And Mark Martin just dives to the inside right in behind the 1 car to get that inside lane.
Shows you how important it is to be on the bottom of the racetrack there.
Jeff Gordon in jeopardy of losing that second position as Truex now runs him up across the racetrack.
He did. And he just drove Jeff Gordon completely out of the groove there.
Actually turned out to be a break for Jess. He's able to beat Truex down into turn 1 and take that spot.
Little side-by-side shoving between the 00 and the 07 of Rudeman and Mears. That is back for 5th spot. Now Rudeman will take that spot away, and his side-by-side again. There's Logano, the rookie, coming on the inside. There comes the 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. This is the 3rd brand new car they have ever built from the ground up, and they said they really like this race car. He was very good in what was the only practice session Saturday about lunchtime.
Yeah, he was. Oh man, he gets really loose right there under Casey Mears.
You see Jimmy Johnson taking the spot away from Bobby Labonte there, who had a great qualifying effort.
See Mears go up across the racetrack now, trying to find a way to get back in there, and he's no way to go because there's Johnson there and Bobby Labonte.
Yeah, it's so frustrating as a driver. You've got a good race car, but you can't get yourself in the right position. 2 or 3 guys go by you, and you just have to, you almost start overdriving it at that point and trying to make something happen.
You have to be careful on the bottom of the racetrack too, because somebody might try to make a hole from that outside lane and come across your front end.
Let's update the 07, Dave.
Well, the handling characteristics won't help either when the car won't turn, and when you saw that tail get loose right there, Casey said, I have no rear grip off right now. He can't get the 07 to do much of anything for him, especially when he's stuck on the outside line.
This team, the 017, very pumped up coming off that 7th place finish at Lowe's Motor Speedway a week ago.
Yeah, when that thing won't turn in the center of the corner, it's especially bad on a restart because you get so slow that the guys are getting into the back of you, knocking you out of the way. Really creates a big problem for the driver.
You don't think about how hard it is to hook the back tires up here. These cars make 900 horsepower, and they have these real low gears. They're hard to hook up off the corner.
11, 12, and 13 side by side. There's the 42 car of Montoya, and Bobby Labonte, the former champ, behind him. Jimmy Johnson now taking another spot away, moving to the inside of the 20 car of Logano.
Yeah, watching 2 guys that are really moving forward. That's Jimmy Johnson. Dale Jr.'s doing a nice job, but the other one I'm watching is Montoya. We've seen those 2 guys be able to make more passes than anyone here so far.
Andy, you were talking about watching the 48 and the 80. It seems like how easily they turn in the corners. You see Jimmy Johnson already the biggest mover here, up 7 spots.
Yeah, I did. I watched him in practice, and this 48 car really does handle well. It turns itself. He does a great job of getting the car stopped, getting in the corner. I mean, he really does have this track down pat. Vince?
Yeah, Chad Canals has said that trying to figure out the perfect setup for these tracks is their competition. As you see Gordon going under Ryan Newman for first place, and Jimmy Johnson making his way toward the front. He says the car is real good. Earl Burban, their spotter, just came over the radio and said, man, you've got a really good drive off turn 4. Maybe bad news for the rest of the field.
You want a chance to win $10,000? Put your NASCAR knowledge to the test with the ESPN Pick 12 Challenge. Go to ESPN.com/Pick12 and guess the order the 12 chase drivers will finish next week in Talladega. And we'll announce who picked this week's order in the first 30 laps of the Talladega race, so make sure you watch. This week's winner who picked the correct order from Charlotte is Glenn W. And congratulations to Glenn W. as the Pick 12 Challenge winner. 42 car continuing to motor toward the front. Shannon.
Well, guys, Juan Pablo Montoya said the most important thing to remember at Martinsville is patience. He is not being patient right now as he makes his way through the field. Started this race 21st, but guys, the car is much better than that. He actually practiced second. The team was very disappointed with their qualifying run and knew that they would be able to make their way up front. As you see Montoya looking to the inside of the 07 car. Right now, just a little bit tight for Juan Pablo Montoya.
Montoya having a good run, and now the guy you were talking about, Andy, Denny Hamlin, starting to pick him off here, being very, very patient here in the early lap.
Yeah, he's being a little more methodical about his charge to the front. Montoya seems to be a little more aggressive, but now we see Denny starting to get a little more aggressive. He's getting underneath this 43 Reed Sorensen.
Battle for second position. Truex trying to take it away from Ryan Newman. He does it, and maybe, as DJ you're talking about, he opens the door for Mark Martin there.
Yeah, and that's just what happens. These cars run nose to tail, and you start losing it a little bit, can't get off the corner the way that you want. You find 2 or 3 that'll get by you. Dave?
Martin Truex taking over second place, guys. That's very good news for this team as the run goes on, because what they thought they didn't find on Friday, even though the car qualified good, was good car on the long run. They lost the forward bite, the ability to get off that corner and really jet down the straightaway. So him passing cars, that's very good, and Kevin Bonamani will be pleased that they made the proper adjustments for Martin Truex.
Making adjustments, and a look at Jimmy Johnson now moving inside to take a position away. And folks, from 15th starting spot, Jimmy Johnson is now 5th after 29 laps. How about a couple of chasers who are mired way back in traffic? There's the 2-car left side of your screen, Kurt Busch, who started back in 37th spot. He is now motored up to 29th, and also back there the 99 car of Carl Edwards, who is in 25th position.
And you see Greg Biffle in the middle of that mix also. Someone that hasn't had a lot of success here. You can see there's Kurt Busch trying to go on the outside of Biffle off of turn 2.
Montoya, you heard Shannon talking about being very aggressive. He talked about during the week, he said he likes this racetrack, but they tell you got to be patient here. He said, I can't be patient. Here comes Boyer, who had such a good run here in the spring of top 5. He's trying to make the pass under Logano.
Yeah, but I think Montoya, we talk about he's being aggressive, but he's also being patient. He's not pushing the issue. He's just getting his nose in there, and he's got a really good race car.
31 laps complete here in Martinsville, Virginia, and Jeff Gordon, the 7-time winner, is our leader. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Welcome back to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Martinsville, presented by Goodyear. Jeff Gordon, our second leader today. We have had 2 leaders. Now, Ryan Newman led the first 21 laps from the pole. Jeff Gordon took the lead on lap 22 now, has led the last 19 laps. And the 24 car, Jeff Gordon, now beginning to work his way in on some lap traffic, guys. And let's bring in our 7-time winner here, Rusty Wallace. And Rusty, how difficult is it if you're the leader here and you start moving in on lap traffic to know where to go, and how aggressive you can be passing these cars?
Well, Doc, that's a good question, but I will tell you this particular racetrack is a great place for what I call the fake out. And that is to get right on the back of somebody coming down the front straightaway and all of a sudden dart to the inside, and the spotter yells, he's looking. And the guy stays high, and you drive right underneath him. And you know what? You never even had a fender up to him. You just scared him, and he stayed up there, flipped out, and you passed him. Look, man, I've done that a million times at this racetrack, and this is the best place to do it.
Yeah, that's a great point, Rusty. I think it's always difficult as the leader here, though. As you come up on these guys, they all have to start racing harder, and it creates problems right in front of you if you're not careful. So you really have to keep your eyes open, because they're doing their very best to try to make a pass or to let you not get to them and get lapped.
Heard us talking in Countdown, Andy, about how important it is to keep the brakes on the car in heavy traffic here. You really, without knowing it, can use those brakes up.
Oh, yeah, you know it, too. I'm telling you, this is very, very difficult situation right here for Jeff. You see right here, Michael Walter's got something, he's got a left rear tire down right there. Contact with another car.
He's spinning off of turn 2 now.
And that will bring out the caution for the second time today.
Caution down. Drive right on through, Michael.
This is at lap 43. This is fairly close to when NASCAR said they were going to throw a competition caution. tried to push David Hoots a little bit on what if it falls close to that 50 laps? Are you going to call that the competition yellow? We'll know here in just a minute.
Yeah, I'd have to think that this will be considered that when they've gotten in a good bit of green flag racing. Boy, and there's a lot of guys with sigh of relief right now that were really close to getting lapped that now have an opportunity to work on their cars.
Drivers have been told in the drivers meeting that you could come in and change tires. You were not allowed to add fuel or gasoline until the competition yellow. So NASCAR now looking at the fact that we were just 6 laps away from their planned 50-lap mark, and we'll see if they will open the pits and allow people to come on and make this the competition yellow. We are just been told this will indeed count as the competition yellow, so they'll be able to come down pit road and take fuel and tires as well.
Yeah, Michael will come down pit road this time, even though it's closed. He had a pretty good run going. He was passing a few cars and going forward till this happened to him.
This is going to be a busy pit road here right now. Everybody still, a majority of the cars still on the lead lap. Very tight spaces.
What's going to make it tricky, you're going to have some guys that are going to take 2 tires. Some are going to take 4. You're going to have a lot of cars coming in and out of their pits. It's going to be a pretty tricky situation down there.
You heard Mark. You heard Mark Hollywood Armstrong talking about how congested it is here and how easy it is to get in trouble just trying to get in and out of pit road down where the leaders are pitting on that curve. Here they come. Folks, it's 30 miles an hour. That's how slow they are required to go here at Martinsville as they make the turn, and they will come all the way down. Jeff Gordon pitting down as he enter turn 1 in an opening there in the pits. Let's go down to Vince.
Well, guys, we talked about the difficulties of pit stops here at Martinsville. Jimmy Johnson makes his first, gets into the box very nicely. Johnson says the car's a little bit free on entry and when he's back on the gas, but he likes it. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel. Dave?
Jeff Gordon's team is going to find out what 2 tires will do. 2 changed only on the right side, full of fuel wedge adjustment. Jamie.
Mark Martin's pit is in that curve. We were talking about 4 tires, air pressure adjustment since the car's pretty good up. Just a bit loose for Mark Martin, guys.
A near miss for Jeff Gordon and Bobby Labonte. Gordon trying to get out with 2 tires and Labonte coming in. There's the race off of pit road. You see Gordon will hold the lead. Look at McMurray up 11 positions. Now he just changed the 2 tires. You see Rudeman back 2 spots, changing 4.
Yeah, that's a big chance by Jeff Gordon and his team, only taking 2 with everybody else getting 4 this first time.
I guess you're going to find out early on.
Damage on the 11.
We'll update Denny Hamlin's right front fender when we come back. Back in Martinsville, the 2 cars that sustained damage on pit road, the right front of Denny Hamlin's fender and the left rear of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Let's show you how it happened as Hamlin was getting ready to exit his pits.
Just extremely tight quarters here. You see Denny Hamlin getting 4 tires, pulling out around Paul Menard, and just catches the left rear corner of Dale Earnhardt Jr. going by. He's got a pretty good amount of damage right there. The only thing I'd be worried about at this point is whether it's going to rub the tire or not. Wouldn't worry too much about the sheet metal itself. Looks like Junior will be okay.
Yeah, probably more of a factor for the 11 than what it is for the 88 car.
John Andretti led a lap, by the way, under caution. So did David Gilliland, who's now taking his Chevrolet to the garage area after leading a lap. Restart here. Jeff Gordon will lead him down. Truex second. Johnson, McMurray, and Martin the top 5. Joey Logano way up on the outside. Now gets back into the second lane. And Jimmy Johnson looking for second spot.
That took him all of 50 laps to get up there to second from 15th starting spot.
Back in March, it took Johnson 430 laps here at Martinsville to lead his first lap, and now he has moved all the way to second here and probably is going to try hunting down his teammate here, Jeff Gordon, in the next 5 or 6 laps. Side by side, well, another little
shunt up behind here
out of turn 4, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. involved. They get the cars headed back in the right direction. Dave.
Yeah, the first damage on pit road with Denny Hamlin, they don't think is going to be any problem. Crew Chief Lance McGrew radioing the whole group. We think we'll be just fine. Denny on the radio said we think we have extensive damage. They think it's a little bit more of a problem, but where they're running right now, they did not want to pit and give up all that track position, guys, on the 11.
Yeah, I can understand that, and it is rolling the dice a little bit. If that thing's rubbing, you're going to get a flat tire, and at best have to come in and get it fixed. At worst, you could hit the wall.
Yeah, these restarts are really creating a lot of problems for these things. Kyle Busch had to completely get out of the
go. Look at Boyer and
Harvick together here. Denny Hamlin right in the mix of that.
See Tony Stewart down on the inside. He's trying to stay away from this mess, and now Hamlin gets on the inside of Mears.
See, the back of Tony Stewart's car's got a big caved-in rear bumper.
About a lap and a half ago, had a big accordion effect. We see that all the time here at Martinsville. We'll show you. Watch Tony Stewart.
Yeah, they were all stacking up right here. Almost had a few of them go around.
Yeah, it was part of that where Kyle Busch had to go almost all the way against the wall to miss it. And when you get up there, you get a lot of the rubber off of these tires onto your tire. And he had to spend literally a lap and a half trying to get his tires cleaned off.
Montoya now moving in on the back of the 00 car. That would be for 6th position. Behind him, Dale Earnhardt Jr. moving underneath the 26 car of McMurray for 8th spot.
Hey, this is a really impressive run for Montoya right now. They hurt themselves as far as the championship battle goes last weekend. But this is very, very impressive on a short track for them. Shannon?
The team told me that they got over last weekend, Saturday night. They started looking forward to this racetrack, and the car has been good all weekend except for that qualifying run. It has been a little bit tight in this race so far. They did make a wedge adjustment and an air pressure adjustment. Juan Pablo Montoya, could this be the day, guys, that he goes to victory lane?
Up front, Jimmy Johnson now moving in. We'll watch for Montoya to get up here and join these guys momentarily here, Shannon. But right now, it's a couple of Hendrick's teammates. Jeff Gordon has led. Jimmy Johnson has not led today, but that's about to change because Jimmy being very aggressive here. How many times have we seen these guys side by side out of turn 4 at Martinsville?
Yeah, they're two of the best that's ever run here. And you can see both cars pretty good today. And that 24 car just took 2 tires on that last stop, so it's really not a fair fight at this point.
We have a new leader. 48.
Jimmy Johnson has now officially led all 6 chase races here thus far in 2009. Look at where the Hendrick Motorsports cars are. All 4 in the top 10.
Yeah, and I noticed, and of course they're all Chevrolets. Now look down the list, and you have literally 9 of the top 10 are all Chevrolets also. David Rudiman in his Toyota is the only one that is not a Chevrolet in that top 10.
The Bowtie boys are on the march today.
Let's update the situation on the 17 car, an ailing race car and an ailing driver. Kenseth already involved in one spin here in an incident back on lap number 7. And we are told he's got some flu-like symptoms, and they have have a driver standing by. Shannon.
That's right, guys. They have Eric Darnell on standby for Matt Kenseth down here in the pit stall. The team did tell me they do not expect Matt to get out of the car. They think he will finish the entire race, but just in case, flu-like symptoms all weekend long. And of course, the race did not start the way that he wanted to with that spin early contact with the 47 and the 7. Matt Kenseth right now, the car's a little bit loose. The driver's a little bit sick, but he's hanging in there.
Yeah, he ran 250 laps yesterday in a nationwide car at Memphis and had an 11th place finish. A pretty tough weekend for a driver when you got the flu. You're just trying to be able to stay upright.
They could help him a lot if he could make it drive better. That would he'd forget about not feeling well.
You see Mark Martin now pressing Jeff Gordon for this spot. 2 tires don't look like they're working out as good as we thought they might.
Yeah, Newman has gone by Martin to take a 2nd spot away, so they're battling back now for 3rd position. Look at Montoya coming out on the inside of the 1 car, and that would be for 5th spot.
You know, I talked to Chad Canals in the garage and asked him who they had to beat today, and the 11 car was the first number that he said, but the second one was the 42 car. Felt like they were going to be strong today.
Mark Martin on the inside of the 24. Another couple of Hendrick teammates battling in the points positions. They're 2nd and 3rd in the points, and right now they are 3rd and 4th on the racetrack. Lap 66 of 500 here at Martinsville Speedway. And the man who's won 5 of the last 6 races here, our points leader, Jimmy Johnson, showing the way.
Watching Jimmy Johnson lead at Martinsville, our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. New Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. Race number 6 in the chase for the Sprint Cup ongoing. Riding with Carl Edwards, Carl, Greg Biffle, and Matt Kenseth, all driving Fords. And you could be too. Go to I'mDriving1.com and hear what the stars of Ford Racing have to say. Register to win your own 2010 Ford Taurus. Carl Edwards mired back 17th in line now. Been interesting to monitor his radio transmissions. Looking to try a little strategy last time, but it didn't work because not enough other guys played the same game. So Carl got a lot of work to do to get himself up toward the front of the pack. Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson started this race in 15th position, got himself to the front of the pack in 59 laps. If he were to win today, it would be his 7th Martinsville victory, tying him with Rusty Wallace with 7 Martinsville wins. And Rusty, off the air just after the start of the race, you were talking about a key to your success here in Martinsville and over at Bristol was a feel you were looking for.
Yeah, Alan, not many times did I have the fastest car in practice or even qualifying, but I was always working to get my car to maneuver where I wanted to get it to do that, especially on the Exeter Turn 2 and especially on the Exeter Turn 4 here at Martinsville. See Jimmy right there pulling that nose down? I would always get my car to be able to pull it down so I could drive up alongside a guy like he's doing right now and make the pass. Look, Jimmy obviously didn't have the fastest car in practice. He qualified 15th, but he got his car to do what he wants it to do.
And that's be up front with a chance to win right now. Jeff Gordon, meanwhile, took 2 tires on the pit stop, the only stops that the leaders have made at lap 46, and he has slid back now just a minute ago, getting passed by Juan Pablo Montoya for 4th place, and there was a little paint swapping going on.
Yeah, these guys get down the corner, and I knew Montoya, coming from that 21st starting position, was not going to be very patient as he came up through the field. He wants that spot, so he goes in and gives Jeff a little tap there on the left rear, makes a little room for himself.
All right, so Jeff Gordon now trying to hang on
We got to tighten this thing up. But 2, we got to get on equal tires.
There you go. There's the story from Jeff Gordon, Dave. I guess that matches what you're about to tell us from his pits, huh?
We got to tighten this thing up. That's what I was going to tell you. No, really, really loose for Jeff Gordon right now. 2 tires on that stop. Martin Truex behind him as well, getting now passed by Denny Hamlin and challenged by Rudiman. So 2 tires not working out for these guys early, but it is a strategy ploy to see how it will work. Crew Chief Steve Letarte told me this morning, I've got to see how it plays out, whether I'll take them later. They know early it sure didn't pay off.
And how's it working out now? Not too good.
You can check that one off the list. 2 tires, ain't going to happen again. And now he's just trying to hang on to position as the 11 car. Denny Hamlin moving in, trying to take the 5th spot away from Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, not too much. You know, that damage is not hurting Denny Hamlin too much from that pit road incident he had with Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's able to keep going forward.
Yeah, if you're going to have a hole in the nose of the car, this would be the place you would opt for that to happen. It's really not going to affect it. You can see Denny Hamlin really moving forward now. Exactly what we expected of him here today.
You watch the back of that car just hunker down when he jumps in the throttle, and they jump on the brakes, and the whole nose of the car just dives down. It's like the whole car just shuffles back and forth, porpoising, exiting the corner and entering the corner every lap. Jimmy Johnson working traffic now, trying to go by the 55 car. Already being shown a lap down is Michael Waltrip, involved in a spin with a cut tire back on lap number 7. Right now there are 33 cars on the lead lap. Robbie Gordon, the last car right now, being shown still on the lead lap.
Boy, go back to what Rusty was talking about, watching Jimmy really pull his car down on the exit of the corner. That means so much to a driver if you have a car that you can do that. Makes passing this traffic so much easier because obviously those guys are struggling with their cars, and when you can do that and drive straight off the corner, really is a huge benefit.
And everybody says, well, wow, you got it, they're adjustable. Why don't you just make the car do that? Well, it's hard to do that and maintain forward bite off the corner. That's what makes it so tough to make the car do that.
Very tough right now for Jeff Gordon, continuing to slide backwards on those 2 tires, and he will lose the 6th spot to Truex. And here comes a parade behind Truex. The 00 of Rudiman is there. Harvick and his teammate Clint Boyer having good runs. There's also Tony Stewart moving into the mix.
Man, it's got to be so frustrating to be sitting in the spot that Jeff Gordon is. Every other lap you're hearing inside.
Yeah, and the other thing is, these other guys are out there running into each other. It's like, why don't one of you finally spin out and give me a little bit of a break here? But it is a difficult situation. He had the best car in that first run, but they chose to try those 2 tires, and it is definitely not working right now.
Well, the points leader and the man that's been affectionately called Mr. Martinsville, Jimmy Johnson, after winning 5 times in the last 6 trips of this racetrack, is our leader here after 86 laps.
You're watching ESPN on ABC.
Caution on lap number 88 is the 88 car has an issue. First, let's check in with the pits. Shannon.
Juan Pablo Montoya says he still needs some forward bite. They're going to add a little bit more wedge, 4 tires and fuel for the 42. Vince.
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson says it's still good. He said he could use a little bit more forward bite, 4 tires and fuel for Jimmy Johnson.
And the car has gotten much better since the first round of pit stops for Ryan Newman. He's in that number 1 pit box. No adjustments are called right now. He's going to take 4 tires. You see him there making that call. They have the advantage to see if they can get the race off of pit road. They're watching right now. Here comes the 48. Let's see if they do it. Nope, he loses track position, guys. He comes out 3rd.
Right in front of of the 42 car. You see Newman coming out. He will lose a spot.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon gained 2 spots with that 4-tire change. His crew stepping it up.
Denny Hamlin lost 3 positions with his 4-tire change, and Tony Stewart gained a spot.
And Jeff Gordon will gain more than that whenever he gets back to racing too, with those 4 tires.
Now he can go.
Let's show you what happened to produce this caution flag. There's the 88 car back on lap 88, and take a look at the right front tire going flat, and Junior just pulls the car to a halt here on the front straightaway. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Back at the Tums 500 here, the top 5 pit stops, fastest crew times, and boy, it just doesn't take much to get an advantage on pit road.
Yeah, but Jimmy Phoenix guys with David Reagan, they stepped it up, 12.7. Good job, guys.
4 cars waved around. Michael Waltrip, Greg Biffle, John Andretti, and Sterling Marlin. Those cars were gone by the pace car. Jimmy Johnson will lead them down alongside Mark Martin side by side. Lap 94 here for the green flag.
Casey Kane had to go to the rear on that restart. He was too fast exiting the pits.
Montoya trying to hang on the outside of the 5 car to the inside lane. Again, they're the 39 car. Newman has got a good race car and trying to race Mark Martin for that 2nd position.
Yeah, the cars that are lining up on the outside have no choice but to try to make this outside work. And they're going to do this lap after lap until they kind of figure out a way to make it work for them up there.
Let's update the 88 situation for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dave.
And Doc, this is a classic case of brake heat melting the bead on the inside of this tire. Here's the metal bead right in here, and the brake temperatures were so hot for Dale Earnhardt Jr. that they melted it, and it broke the tire right there. Tim Brewer can show us more and explain all about that in the Craftsman Tech Garage.
Thanks, Dave. The brake rotor sets right here. The bead of the tire, a cable, if you will. That's where the tire actually seals itself to the wheel. But excessive heat transferred through this area, that's what Dave is referring to, the melted bead. This is a tire that came off of Kurt Busch's car last year, and when they had another bead issue.
Tim, right now the 42 car is putting some excessive heat on the leaders. Juan Pablo Montoya on the outside, and it's diving in. There's a 24 car. He and Jeff Gordon both trying to run side by side the last lap and a half there for position.
Yeah, Montoya had an opportunity to get down on that bottom lane a lap and a half ago. Didn't take it. Looked like he was trying to make a move on Mark Martin, but it's going to cost him some spots now as he's now hung up in the outside.
As he
gets down there.
Right in the opening in front of Clint Boyer there.
Oh, man, he's roughing up Jeff Gordon today, I'm going to tell you.
Jeff's not going to take much of that, I can tell you right now.
Now watch Clint Boyer try to make a move inside the 42.
And Montoya really smart right there, leaving just enough room for Boyer and not getting himself wrecked.
DG, I know there's a lot of pushing and shoving at Martinsville, but how much is too much when in terms of leaning on another driver here?
Well, it depends on if it keeps coming from the same driver. If it does that, then you're not going to put up with too much of it. He obviously either needs to pass you or get off of you. And I think that's probably what Jeff Gordon, you could see them rub, and that probably came before that when Jeff was trying to pass Montoya, and that probably came from the fact that Montoya gave him a little bit of a bump before that, prior to that last caution. So these guys, we'll have to keep an eye on them throughout the day.
This is 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th on your screen there. Gordon is 4th. And again, the 42 pops a 24 from behind.
Yeah, they're still going at each other right here. Montoya dead against this 24 right here. Just moves him out of the groove.
Montoya on the bottom of the racetrack and will outbrake him in the corner and take the spot away. So Montoya to 4th, Gordon back to 5th.
Well, if Jeff Gordon can get back to the bumper, there's going to be more contact here in just a minute.
I'm not sure he can get back to the bumper of this 42 car. He's fast.
Saw Brian Vickers make a pass a moment ago to move in behind Gordon. See Tony Stewart down on the inside of the 00. He's trying to climb back up through this fracas. That's 9th, 10th, and 11th. Stewart the 9th spot, and now Denny Hamlin trying to take 10th spot away from Rudiman. Talking about this racetrack being a throwback to the old days of NASCAR, so is the racing, pushing and shoving and rooting and gouging, as Brad Doherty would say. Great short track racing NASCAR styles. You look back from Tony Stewart's car at the 11 of Denny Hamlin now trying to move in on him.
Yeah, there's just a lot of, at times there's nothing else you can do as you're trying to make a pass. And sometimes you just let your car roll because that's where you can have a really good car and make it run fast, and you just roll a little bit too hard at times and get into someone. So what makes this place so exciting.
You see Denny Hamlin there trying that little Rusty Wallace move out of the mirror and see if they can get Kevin Harvick to stay up, and it didn't quite work. You see another flat tire on the right front of Sterling Marlin's car here.
Came off a turn 2, went all the way up across the racetrack. Lucky he didn't hit the wall. He heads for pit road.
He was one of the wave round cars, so he has quite a few more laps on that right front than the cars out there on the track now.
See Jimmy Johnson, our leader, Newman, Martin, Montoya, and Jeff Gordon in 5th position. Dave.
Well, guess how Jeff Gordon felt about all that contact with Juan Pablo Montoya. Listen.
I'll tell you what, I don't know what's wrong with him, but I'm pissed.
Jeff also said he's got the best car out here. He doesn't know what to do with it right now.
I bet he'll know what to do with it if he catches that 42, DJ.
Yeah,
he's talking about the 42 car.
Yeah, it's got a really good race car, and I think Jeff needs to work on his a little bit. He's not very happy with Montoya right now. That's the one thing you don't. When you have a good race car and you're going to the front, as Montoya is, you don't want to alienate too many people up through here.
You can see right there, he gets just a little bit right there. Man, he just smacks him right in the door and up on the curb.
Yeah, now right there, Jeff Gordon's not giving him a lot of room, but that's all after he had already run him down the front straightaway, bumper to bumper, pretty much shoving him into the into turn 1, maybe a little faster than he wanted. Shannon, what are they saying about Montoya?
Well, guys, one thing to keep in mind is that Juan Pablo Montoya coming off his worst finish of the season last week at Charlotte, and he is making his way up, as we've seen. The team, Brian Patty, crew chief, came over the radio and said, all right, 2 things. Number 1, we do not want to get a cut tire this early in the race. You've got to save your car. And number 2, brakes. We need the brakes for the last 100 laps, so just be careful how aggressive you get this early in the race.
Shannon Montoya said that after losing 3 positions with that 35th place finish at Charlotte, now back to 6 in the points, he said there's no pressure on this team now. We go out and can just race wide open and do what we want to do, be as aggressive as we want to be, because we have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Right now he is doing just that, as Montoya has driven this car all the way up to 4th position. Jimmy Johnson is our leader. Ryan Newman, who was the pole sitter, running 2nd. Martin, Montoya, and Jeff Gordon, the top 5. Here are the current standings for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year. Points are accumulated by the team who wins the race by fan votes and by an ESPN pick. And take a look at his Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Stewart, and Johnson. That's the top 4. Make your pick for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year by texting the car number for the pit crew you think is fastest and most valuable in each race to 2258. Standard messaging rates do apply. Jimmy Johnson is our leader. Ryan Newman in 2nd. Martin, Montoya, and Jeff Gordon. That's a top 5. Vickers is 6th. Tony Stewart 7th. Denny Hamlin 8th. We mentioned the Vickers car, the 83 car, and he has really been on the move, guys, trying to get this car in the top 10, and now has climbed all the way up to 6th position.
Yeah, his cars looked really good here, and even though they haven't had the type of races in the chase that they were looking for after getting themselves in the chase, this would be a really good day for them. This isn't exactly their forte, this short track racing. As you can see Brian Vickers right there up in the 6th spot, doing a great job so far.
He has not had a top 10 finish in any of the 5 chase races thus far, trying to change that here today. We talked about how far back the 2 car. It started 37th, Andy. But when we talked to him after the qualifying show on Friday, he was very optimistic about what was going to happen with this team today.
He almost had to laugh. He was talking about how it's a long race and all that, but it's so hard to start in the back here. And I thought, man, that's pretty confident for a guy starting that far back. But, man, he's already knocked off half the field here, Dave.
And I looked it up earlier today because I was fascinated by the fact that his 1 win here came when he started 36th in the field. He led 111 laps, but it wasn't until, does that math work out? Yes, lap 389 that he led. He patiently worked his way forward all day long and finally took the lead for the first time on 389. So don't expect him not to remember that and be patient today.
He has never had a top 10 finish here, Dave, in the 2 car. And the 1 car coming on the pit road, we heard he had a vibration, may have a loose wheel. What's going on, Dave?
Yep, he's going to come down pit road right now. There he is. You see him on your TV screen, big and bold in that 1 car. They think the right rear is loose. It may not have been completely put on the car, and he said it feels like it's coming off. So they are pitting under green. Horrible to do here at Martinsville. He's going to lose at least a couple of laps, but he had to come in. Tim Brewer.
Come on over here. Yeah, we got the wheel right here, and what happens when the lug nuts are loose, the wheel actually just sets and rocks, and once it's loose, it will literally loosen up the lug nuts and work them loose. But this wheel, it's been left loose. See the oblong? It moves like that. You can't do anything with a loose wheel on a race car.
Thank you, Tim. Boy, this happens in a hurry, and here at Martinsville, that vibration, you got to get on pit road in. You don't have much choice. You got to come in. Whoa, it's still sideways.
Yeah, he's got cold tires here. They'll heat up here and get going, but man, that's going to cost Martin Truex a lot here, having to make a green flag pit stop.
Got a wreck over into up high. Caution is out.
And again, the caution out for the 88 car now in the wall here.
I'll get you a hold there.
Yeah, you can tell it's going to be a long day. When you have that bead melting like that, it doesn't get better. You're just going to keep having that problem.
Lance McGrew and the guys there looking after they thought they would have such a good run here today, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. had led the most laps twice in the last 5 races here. Now he's brought out 2 consecutive caution flags for issues with the right front tire.
There it goes. You see right off the corner. Man, hit the wall pretty hard there. He's just trying to stay out of the way of the other traffic.
Yeah,
right in front of Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, I've been watching him. He was in some traffic, and it was like he was trying his best not to abuse the car and the tires and the brakes as he was easing off some going into the corner. But they have some kind of problem there that's been created with their setup or the driving style here.
He was the last car on the lead lap and would have gotten the free pass, but because he was the one that brought the caution flag out, there will be no free pass. And now you see the damages on the right side of what was a brand new Chevrolet they had brought here to Martinsville.
What a frustrating day it can be here when you have a problem like this.
So the leaders will be coming back on pit road here. Caution number 4 on the day. Last time they came in here back on lap number 90. We're working lap 130 of 500. Andy, you got to believe after that 2-tire exchange, no one's going to go in that direction.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. We'll see right here with the leaders, but my call would be 4. Shannon?
Juan Pablo Montoya says forward bite is the issue, but a bigger issue, he says his brakes are already starting to fail him, starting to get a little bit loose out there. 4 tires for the 42 car as he pulls it in. Vince.
Jimmy Johnson has been really happy with his race car. He's been in a very good rhythm, and so has his pit crew. They've had 2 outstanding stops. They're going to go with another 4-tire change. Very minor adjustments. He said just needs a little more forward bite. Dave?
Jeff Gordon is loose when he hits the throttle, so they're going to make a track bar adjustment for that. They said, heck, we got 317 laps to go. Let's come in. Let's do it. 4 tires. Jamie?
Ryan Newman was a pole sitter today. He says the car is pretty good. 4 tires. They're going to take some wedge out of that right rear, fill it up with Sunoco fuel. You see Jimmy Johnson coming down again. Are they going to make it again? He's down and away. Looks like he's going to come out about 3rd again, guys.
Yeah, look at Montoya gaining a couple of positions there with the 4-tire change, getting it done. Jeff Gordon up a spot.
Yeah, that'll help take a little bit of pressure off those brakes. He was talking about the brakes fading. Here's Robbie Gordon now having a problem. You can see from Hollywood's camera going behind the wall.
It's possibly they broke a transmission or rear end gear. A lot of times you let the car down here with that rear end gear that you have, such a low gear. You time that just what is perfect or unpurposed. Sounds like maybe a drive shaft
front of the yoke off there of the gear too, so we'll be ready with the gear and axles and all that stuff.
Yeah, more than likely what it's done is sheared the pinion gear in 2, and that's what the drive shaft's hooked to, and they see that drive shaft hanging down. That gear is very fragile here. It's one of the weakest links on the car at Martinsville.
Robbie has had horrendous luck here at Martinsville. He has finished 40th the last 3 times he has come to this half-mile track. Under caution for the 4th time. Back with the restart in a moment. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in Martinsville presented by Goodyear. Under caution for the 4th time today. Jimmy Johnson, our leader. The top 7 cars are chase contenders here. Let's show you the top 5 here in terms of time, total time on pit road.
Yeah, there's Paul Menard with that 2-tire stop, 6.2. But David Reagan's team still stepping it up under 13 seconds.
Now, Mark Martin lost a couple positions in the pits that time.
Let's compare Mark Martin and Jimmy Johnson's pit stops here. You see Martin losing about 0.4 of a second on the right. and losing a full second on the jack coming around the car. Made it up a little bit on the left side, and Johnson's stop here was not flawless. They had a little trouble on the left side, and you see that 14.4 stop. Still got him out front.
Show you the 48 pit stop here. Watch Jimmy Johnson come in, and Chad Canouse's guys go to work.
Yeah, you see as the car comes to a stop, our clock will start, and they start having just a little bit of a glitch right here. Looks like the right rear just a tick slow of the right front, but not too bad. They come around the car. Jackman does a good job getting around here. Gets the car up, but then they have just a little trouble getting that left front tire off.
But because of where he was in the pits, he's able to get back around the curve and get back out and remain as the leader. 7 cars have gone to the garage area. Derek Cope, Travis Quapple, Dave Blaney, Michael McDowell, David Gilliland, Joe Nemechek in the latest, the 7 car of Robbie Gordon. Restart here at Martinsville. Jimmy Johnson leads him down. Montoya in second. Let's see if Newman can move down on the inside of Montoya to take that spot away.
Montoya gets a good run up off turn 2 now. He's got that spot if he'll take it here getting down into 3. He does. He's got it. Montoya's pit crew doing a great job getting him out there and getting a couple spots.
It's amazing how that works together. When your driver's doing a good job, you've got a good car, then the pit crew steps it up.
Let's listen in to the radio of the 42 car.
You got to pull every fender there is in the freaking car, that freaking 24. You know, we're running side by side, it was okay, and then he started getting wider and wider and starting to hit me every freaking corner. Yeah, 10-4, bud.
Juan Pablo Montoya's side of the incident with the 24 car, a little pushing and shoving. Let's see if he's going to rough up that 48 car.
Just going to say, I wonder if he's going to take it out on Jeff Gordon's teammate right here. Jimmy had to be a little careful, this guy, man. I tell you, Montoya's got a great car today.
Yeah, he does. That thing really rolls through the center, and that's where he's running up on these guys, and that's when he gets into the back of them.
Everybody's out of their seats here watching this race to the lead.
They know Montoya is going to be aggressive.
He's there.
Here he comes on the inside of the 48 car, and Johnson gives him room. Montoya's got half a car left.
42 only.
Boy, that was real smart by Jimmy Johnson there to leave just enough room.
Montoya still hasn't led a lap. Here comes Johnson back on the outside as they are side by side. Great Martinsville racing, and Montoya will take the lead. Vince.
All good, dude.
Well, Andy, you made a comment that it was smart for Jimmy Johnson to leave Montoya a little bit of room. Just before that battle, Chad Knaus had reminded Jimmy Johnson that the 42 had been beating on the 24 and to be aware of it as they got that restart side by side. Jimmy said 10-4, and you can't help but wonder whether maybe that little reminder gave Jimmy Johnson the heads up to give Montoya that little extra bit of room here early in the race.
Yeah, Vince, that's a good move because that, you know, if I was Chad too sitting down in the box, I'd be telling Jimmy that that this guy has been very aggressive today.
Yeah, there wasn't any reason to think that he might not run into him if he got the opportunity either, but he's got a great car being very aggressive, and somebody else that's being aggressive too is Kyle Busch. He went almost to the very back about 3 cautions ago whenever he had to go high to avoid a bunch of cars, and he's done a great job.
He is our biggest mover. Started back in 41st position. He is up 26 spots as he continues to pick them off one by one, now showing in 11th position.
Yeah, if you'll remember, this is one of the Gibbs cars that had problems with that bead melting last race here, last couple of races actually, Kyle Busch has. And we heard our in-race reporter, Mike Ford, the crew chief for Denny Hamlin, tell us that they have really been working on this problem, so I'm sure they're hoping it's fixed.
Kyle
Busch, a great run so far.
Kyle Busch, by the way, the points leader for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, finished second yesterday at Memphis to Brad Keselowski, and now has a 215-point lead with just 3 races remaining in the chase for the NASCAR Nationwide Series championship. 146 laps in. Juan Pablo Montoya is our leader. You don't think the fans appreciate aggressive driving? When Juan Pablo Montoya made the move a moment ago underneath Jimmy Johnson, these fans were on their feet screaming, jumping up and down and waving, and here's the move that gave Montoya the lead. Now watch the crew reaction. They appreciate what their driver is doing because Juan Pablo has taken the point, at Martinsville. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Aerial coverage from high above the bull ring. That is Martinsville, courtesy of our good friends at Goodyear. New Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. Juan Pablo Montoya is our leader. Jimmy Johnson in second position. Ryan Newman, who was the pole sitter, back in third. Jeff Gordon, his car much better, and Martin is fifth. Now let's show you the Jimmy Johnson pit stops as they have progressed through the day here in the Tums 500. And not a good sign here for this team.
Oh, they're getting steadily slower. You can see that rank. That's 10th fastest of all the stops on pit road that first time, and then 20th of the last stop with that 14.4. Vince?
Well, Chad Canal certainly wasn't critical to his team after those pit stops. In fact, after that second stop, he referenced how good he thought that the stop had been. But Jimmy Johnson came over the radio after the last stop and said, we've got a long day ahead of us and a lot of stops, so everybody keep their head about them. So pep talks on both sides from Jimmy Johnson and Chad Canals in regards to the pit stops, Andy.
Thank you, Vince. We see the 24 car now trying to move back in on the 39 for Newman. That's a third spot. Jeff Gordon, a much better car.
That's some debris. A piece of looks like a few cars hit that. Ryan Newman looked like he hit it.
Boyer trying to avoid it. He got just to the inside of it here. Caution number 5 coming out on lap 157. They last pitted on lap 131, so
much beating and banging as we've seen today. I'm surprised there's not more debris on the racetrack.
See some rubber up across the racetrack there. You really grind these tires off there. There's their big chunks of rubber to sort of pile up almost like a cushion up just on the outside of the concrete fringe there.
Yeah, but you get up in it, it's not like a cushion. You don't want any part of that up there. And I'm also starting to see the corners blacken up quite a bit as we get a lot of rubber down. A lot of times we'll have build up there, and it'll make your car do a lot of different things. You have to really be careful as you try to roll and through the center of the corner and then get off the corner. Looks like everybody's staying out right here.
Not everybody.
There comes
Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin, who was trying to make a move to get back in the top 5. He comes on pit road, the 07 car. So pretty much everybody from 13th on back. Mears, Harvick, Edwards, Kyle Busch is there, Reagan, those guys coming in to get some tires. Let's go down to Dave.
Denny Hamlin's complaint on that run that it was just too tight in the center of the corner. They were also having trouble getting the car to come up to speed as quickly as they wanted. This time they're going to make a track bar adjustment on the car and a 2-tire stop for Denny Hamlin. Jamie?
And Kyle Busch, you guys talked about what a great run he had. His crew going to work here. He's lacking overall grip, and I'll tell you, he was down and out. Kyle Busch was back, mired in the back, and this team has kept him together, kept his head in it, and he's gone nothing but forward. He's down and away, guys.
So the top 11 cars will stay on the racetrack. The 6th place car, Hamlin, came in, and everyone essentially from 13th on back. We will mention the 16 car of Greg Biffle did get the free pass. So Biffle, who was a lap down, now will get back on the lead lap. That will give us 31 cars on the lead lap here at Martinsville.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Ford. See why racing's top drivers love the all-new Taurus from Ford. Frostbrewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. UPS. See David Reagan go head-to-head with UPS drivers in Maximum Driver at racing.ups.com. And Verizon Wireless, America's largest 3G network.
About a third of the distance into today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Martinsville. Half a lap from the restart from the pit studio. Rusty Wallace, Brad Daugherty. Rusty, watching the pace Juan Pablo Montoya has been setting while leading and getting up through the pack. You're thinking about what?
I'm thinking about brakes right now. I'm thinking about he needs to slow down and start conserving the stuff. He was already complaining about starting to lose his brakes. If I was him, I'd be getting out of the throttle around the start-finish line, letting that baby coast into corner and conserve right now.
Time to go racing.
Montoya, Jimmy Johnson. There's Jeff Gordon, the inside of Jimmy Johnson. His teammate Gordon will try to race Johnson off and get that second spot. Johnson's got him by half a car length. Now Gordon's car was very good after that last pit stop here in this early run.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson's going to have a hard time holding Jeff Gordon off right here. Well, I thought he was.
You were saying?
Because Gordon's car did look really good right before that caution came out.
Yeah, but I think it takes Jeff's car a little bit of time to come in, get the air pressure built back up, and a little bit of heat back in, and he'll be okay. Jimmy's car is really good on these starts.
Mark Martin in the 5 car. You got Boyer up on the outside of him for position. Boyer sort of up there in no man's land.
Yeah, he is. He's trying to make it work if he can. You see him jump down behind Mark Martin now. Got a little bit of an opening in between Brian Vickers.
Look at Stewart in the 14 car and Kurt Busch all the way from 37th starting spot. Those guys on the outside there trying to move up. Yeah. Right now being shown 8th and 11th respectively.
Jeff Burton there in the 9th spot. He was excited about his opportunity this weekend. Feels like that their program is getting kind of turned around and in the right direction.
Here comes that 11 car, Denny Hamlin with fresh tires.
Hamlin was running in 6th position when he came on the pit road. To the 18 there. Started back in 41st spot. Kyle Busch moving in behind Hamlin.
Yeah, when Hamlin came in, that brought a lot of others behind there. They saw that opportunity to come get tires. We'll see what kind of difference it makes, especially if we get on a longer run here.
If we get on a long run, you can expect to see this 11 car really work his way, maybe even all the way to the lead.
Hamlin just trying to squeeze it underneath the 00. Will jump on the brakes and not get in the Ruderman.
About a half a car width hole there. He decided not to push it.
Montoya the leader. Johnson in 2nd spot. You see there's they pulled away to about 5 car lengths back. Here are the Busch brothers side by side. Kyle and Kurt. Kyle on the bottom. Kurt up high. Bobby Labonte behind him as they battle for 12th and 13th spot. Let's update the 2 car. Dave.
Well, as you guys have said about Kurt Busch on this racetrack, he's quite confident. And when they had such a horrible qualifying lap starting 37th, Kurt was blown away when Pat Tryson told him the speed when he came in. He said the car felt good, and the guys confirmed the car looked good. He couldn't believe how bad it was. So they went to their teammate David Stremme and they bolted on the setup that the 12 had run because he qualified well, and Stremme said that was a pretty decent feel in the car all day. It's worked pretty good for Kurt. Pat Tryson told me it's never worked before when we use our teammate setup, so I sure hope it works today.
Making it work on the racetrack there.
And look at Kyle Busch. He's just inside, outside.
Yeah, he was going to try to fill that hole as Denny Hamlin got by the 00. But David Ruderman decided he was going to stay on the very, very bottom and protect that. So Kyle had to jump to the outside. See if he can make that work.
Little gentle bump there, the 00 in the 18. Denny Hamlin dominated this race in the spring, leading 296 laps, but did not win. We showed you at the top of the show, had some contact with just 16 laps to go with Jimmy Johnson. Has been thinking about that for 7 months, wanting to get back here and get the win. Let's update Jimmy Johnson. Vince.
Well, Doc, Jimmy chose not to pit. He and Chad Knaus deciding not to pit on that last stop, but that didn't mean they weren't going to work. They went to work breaking down the handling of the car on the radio.
Is that just because you're trying to keep up with him, do you think?
No, I assume the track changing or something. I mean, it was easy before to just drive away from guys, and I can't go anywhere right now.
Yeah, you're right about the same lap times, though, I guess what I'm trying to say. I think he's a little bit faster than has been, you know, because you were pulling away from those guys behind you there, too.
So Jimmy doesn't have the forward bite, but DJ, I'm curious to ask you, even though the lap times are the same, the comfort of the car, can it change and maybe not make the driver quite as happy?
Yeah, that's a good point. And what can happen is this rubber starts to build up through these corners. You have to change your line a little bit. We've got a spin on the back straightaway.
Teammates. Couple of Penske cars, Hornish and Stremme getting together. Both get turned around and head in the right direction, but the caution will come out now for the 6th time today.
This might put the 11 car in a pretty good position to maybe assume the lead, as these other guys have to think about pitting now.
Yeah, I was just looking at the number of laps, about 45 laps since the leaders pitted.
I'll show you what happened. Sam Hornish already in a backup car. He wrecked the primary car in practice Friday morning. There's the contact.
And there was actually contact. Looked like they might get out of that, but then the one car got into the back of David Stremme, and that kind of sent him back into the 77 once again.
Most damage going to the 77 car, both able to continue. And both cars still on the lead lap, being shown in 30th and 31st position. Leaders are going to line up down on the inside and head the pit road here on lap 178. Montoya, Johnson, Gordon, Martin, and Newman.
Now you're going to see the first off sequence we've had. Now Denny Hamlin and all those other cars stayed out. The leaders are coming to you, Shannon.
And Juan Pablo Montoya is your leader who will lead them down pit road. They're going to go a little bit more on that wedge for some more forward bite. You see that wrench in the back window, 4 tires and fuel for the 42. Vince?
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Johnson just wants a little bit more forward bite, but otherwise has been happy with the race car. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel. No chassis adjustments all day in the 48. Dave?
Jeff Gordon says I'm sideways on the gas, but I'm pushing the middle of the corner. It'll be a track bar adjustment, plus pushing a spring rubber into the right rear spring. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. Jamie?
Mark Martin liked those last adjustments. He said, keep giving me more wedge. 4 tires. He's down and away.
Race off of pit road. See Johnson, Montoya. There's Martin coming out, so Martin will gain a spot. Boyer up 2 positions at the expense of Jeff Gordon, back 3 spots. Well, mentioned the 31 car stayed on the racetrack. Jeff Burton to lead a lap as they came by. Let's show you why we're under caution here. The 2 Penske cars running side by side, but watch behind them with the 1 car of Martin Truex.
Yeah, that's what I thought I saw there.
Yeah, the first contact right here with Davis Trim, he does get into the left rear of Hornish. Then it looked like
Martin Truex got into the back of Streamy a little bit, and Martin's going to benefit in a lot of ways. He's getting a free pass here, back on the lead lap after being 2 laps down.
Now Martin Truex will come on pit road, and they'll make a major chassis adjustment on his Chevrolet. Under caution for the 6th time today. Getting set for a restart here, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Martinsville, presented by Goodyear. Jeff Burton has not pitted since lap 131. He stayed on the racetrack. He is our leader. 17 cars stayed out on that pit stop with that caution flag right there, which means Jimmy Johnson is now restarting back in 18th position.
Now, every restart, the inside car has been able to hold the lead. The leader has chosen that inside lane, but right now you see Denny Hamlin getting the lead from Jeff Burton, and that's really not a fair fight because there's quite a bit of difference in the tires on these 2 cars.
Yeah, Hamlin had pitted on lap 159, Burton way back on 131. Look at this Hornet's nest back here for the 48 car.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right around him, right in front of him.
He's going to try to make this outside lane work also. You see Casey Kane just working all over the back bumper of Scott Speed.
Martin up on the outside and Montoya down on the inside of the 9 car. Montoya leading a parade. There's Clint Boyer behind him. The 83 car, Brian Vickers behind Boyer.
Hey, you can't win the race at this point right here, but you can sure lose it in this group.
Yeah, but you have to make sure that you stay aggressive in this point in time, because if you don't, then you're going to find yourself mired back this even longer. Shannon?
Well, Casey Kane right there finds himself mired back there in the middle of that, what you guys call it, a hornet's nest. They did not know what kind of car they really had coming into this race because practice was cut so short. And right now, Casey Kane dealing with the same issue everyone else is dealing with, forward bite. But he did stay out to get some track position. He started this race 26, guys, and has not been able to make his way to the front all race long.
He will lose a spot there, Shannon, to the 83 car of Vickers. In front of them is Boyer, and in front of Boyer is the 42 car of Juan Pablo Montoya.
Speeding. I was on the limit. I was, running on the light, and he's speeding. It's not to be speeding on the pits. There is no way he didn't speed there.
He's probably within 220 of the markers. He has a box there where he can speed all the way to another timing line, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because he drove all the way by us.
What he's talking about, Andy, is the 48 car and he were on pit road at the same time, and he felt the 48 car was speeding.
Yeah, you see Montoya gets his car up to speed. Now he's starting into this timing zone. And see, the 48 car is just getting started in that timing zone. So it felt like he was speeding, but it's just really taking advantage of those marks and where they are. You see the comparison right here of the 2 pit stops. Right there, you see the drive time down pit road is about 0.8 of a second faster for Jimmy Johnson. That's exactly what Montoya is complaining about. But it is legal as long as it doesn't trip that light NASCAR has and says that you're speeding.
Yeah, they have 8 segments on pit road here at Martinsville. As long as you're inside that segment and the average is under 30 miles an hour plus 5, 35, you're okay. And obviously Jimmy Johnson was. Kyle Busch all the way from the back of the pack, 41st position, now being shown in second spot, and there's the margin between Kyle and the 11 car, his teammate in front of him. Jamie.
I talked to Steve Addington, crew chief for Kyle Busch this morning. He said, we don't know what happened. Kyle got out of the car after qualifying and said it wasn't that terrible. It was actually pretty good. He just had a bad qualifying run. They didn't know what they had. They've been working on this car. Of course, strategy played in. They took 2 tires that lapped 159 and stayed out, and he's moving forward, Dave.
A couple cars behind him is Jeff Burton, who was the restart leader. They stayed out that last time, but what they've done on the track has been impressive today and on pit road. He's passed cars. They've also picked up spots, 8 of them on pit road, all 4 tire stops every time they stop. And Scott Miller told me this morning, the other thing we have going for us with Jeff Burton, he likes this place, and attitude means a lot at Martinsville.
He grew up about 45 minutes from here in South Boston, Virginia. He is one of the local favorites, won here in the Nationwide car, and also won here back in 1997, driving for Jack Roush at the time in the Cup car. Well, the tension has been building on Wisteria Lane, and with the shot heard round the cul-de-sac, one housewife will pay the price. A line is crossed and a fare is exposed. Neighbors come to blows and monkeys go bananas on an all-new Desperate Housewives, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, coming up on ABC. Caution again, the 77 car. Sam Horney spins around, and we will have the 7th yellow flag of the day.
We'll meet him in the garage, guys.
See a lot of damage there to the left front.
That'll be a weekend that Sam Hornets is going to want to forget. He lost their primary car in the practice session, the only practice session we had on Friday because of rain, and now he has had 2 different incidents here to bring out the caution flag. He had help on the previous one with David Stremme and Martin Truex, and now top of your screen you see him sideways and sort of the cue ball spinning around and to the outside wall.
Man, this place can be brutal when you're having a day like Sam.
That'll give the 31 car and some others a chance to come down pit road. The 2 is there as well. Dave.
Yep, for Jeff Burton, it's going to be a wedge adjustment and air pressure's down in the rear. He needs a little bit more grip off. Kurt Busch has had a pretty decent car as well. I didn't see if they put a chassis adjustment on that car or not. Last time they made no changes to it, so the car has really come to Kurt on this little half mile.
Kurt Busch coming off 13 cars on pit road under this caution flag. A couple of guys that did not pit before. You see the 31 now coming out. Burton, there's Kurt Busch.
Yeah, this strategy's not working out though for Kurt Busch. You have 2 different strategies out there now with Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch and so forth. They're staying out when the leaders pitted the last caution. This was really a bad deal for those cars because they're going to start behind all of them.
We have not gotten to the 200 lap mark. We promised you to be a lot of pushing and shoving short track style here at Martinsville, and we have delivered, folks. We've had 7 caution flags for 36 laps. We are at lap 197, and Denny Hamlin is our leader.
You're watching ESPN on ABC.
Now, Sprint brings you an inside look at the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on the Now Network. Our current top 3 in points are 48 car of Jimmie Johnson, the 5 of Mark Martin, and in third is the 24 of Jeff Gordon. Our biggest mover today is a non-chase driver. How about Kyle Busch coming all the way from 41st starting spot right now to be shown in second position. For more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. Let's listen in on the 18 radio.
How many laps was that run right there? 13 laps. And the 48 picked up 10 spots. And now he's getting some more freebies by guys pitting. It's pretty awesome.
He's talking about Jimmie Johnson. I guess when you're having that kind of year, you not only got a good race car and a good team, but you get a break with a caution coming out. 15 guys come on the pit road. You don't have to worry about passing now.
He's just making his own breaks right now. He's got a great race car, making good decisions on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's amazing how much luckier you get when you have a good car and you do all the things right. Pit crew does their job.
Well, Denny Hamlin is our leader. There's Jimmie Johnson. Right now in the 48 car being shown all the way up in 6th position. He restarted a moment ago back in 18th spot. There's Hamlin, the leader, who's led 17 laps. Kyle Busch has not led a lap today, coming all the way from 41st spot. Neither has Kevin Harvick or Bobby Labonte or Carl Edwards. Any of those cars right now in the top 5.
Yeah, Bobby Labonte doing a nice job keeping his car up front. He qualified well. Doing a really good job with that 96 car today.
Well, look at this race right here up front. Kyle Busch actually gets the advantage down the back stretch.
Talked about how good the Hendrick cars. How about some Joe Gibbs cars going at it here? Teammates, and Kyle Busch will come down and lead for the first time today. Kevin Harvick trying to sneak up on the outside. He will fall back in line. We'll see if Harvick will try to use the Kyle Busch line up high.
Yeah, he might want to try that, but I'd suggest getting back in line because I think Denny Hamlin's going to have something to go by the 18, and he might could take that opportunity to get back underneath and close that door.
Side-by-side action. Jimmy Johnson, a little rubbing there going on between Johnson and Carl Edwards, and Johnson will get by. This is race number 6 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. It was a 90-point advantage for Jimmy Johnson coming into the day. Watch the great action up front. There's the 11 car. Hamlin now trying to go back inside of Kyle Busch.
Now, Denny Hamlin's got just a little better car than what Kyle Busch does, but he's having a hard time getting it hooked up just enough. You can see Kyle giving him plenty of room down on the inside. Denny's car's a little quicker.
Harvick looking strong right now.
Guys better not look in their rearview mirror. That 48 is moving in on them very quickly.
I promise you, they see him coming. They're looking in the mirror.
There comes a 48 car, and you talked about DJ. There's a 96 car. Great run for Bobby Labonte. The last time he'll be in that 96 car, Yates Racing, the Hall of Fame car. He'll be in the Chevy, the 71 car, for the final 4 races of the year.
Doing a nice job trying to hold off Carl Edwards, and here comes Montoya. He's worked his way up into the battle here. He's up into the 7th spot now, trying to go to the outside of Carl Edwards.
And can't make that work as Carl will get the position. Now, what about our pole sitter, Ryan Newman? There he's back there running with his car owner and teammate, Tony Stewart. There's the 83 car beside him, Ryan Vickers. They're back in 12th, 13th, and 14th.
See Jeff Gordon there. Remember back a couple of cautions ago, they had a pit stop that cost him 2 or 3 spots on pit, coming out of pit road, and you can see how much he's lost really contact with Jimmy Johnson, who's moved up into the 3rd spot now. Jeff Gordon sitting here in the 15th spot.
Now Andy, the 42 decides to go downstairs on the inside of the 99.
Yeah, he's got about 20 lap fresher tires than Carl Edwards. So does Martin Martin. See Carl now just trying to yield the right away. Oh man, Casey Kane in the wall.
One of our chase contenders, Casey Kane, and he will get it around the left rear tire.
Say another splitter gets a left rear.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it wasn't the 88 that got in him. They went into turn 3 a minute ago, 3 wide with the 43 on the outside. So I'm thinking maybe that could have been from Dale Jr.
Well, Dale Jr. will be the lucky dog on this one. He's 2 laps down, and he still is the first car that's not on the lead lap. So he should get one of those back.
Casey Kane has finished 15th or worse the last 5 times he has come to Martinsville. This has not been a good place for Casey Kane. And you're right, Andy, it will be Dale Jr. who will get the free pass and get one of those laps back. He will come on to pit. There's the 83 car, Brian Vickers on pit road. Doesn't take much pushing and rubbing. You worry about the splitter getting a valve stem or maybe having a tire going down. He comes in and will get 4 fresh. You see the 9 car coming in, the damaged 9 car. There's Paul Menard and the 16 car. Let's go down to the Biffle pit. Vince.
Greg Biffle has taken advantage of the waiver out a couple of times today. Says the car is loose in. They're trying to get a better balance on it. 4 tire change and Sunoco fuel for Greg Biffle in the 3-in car.
One of only 2 racetracks that Greg Biffle has never had a top 5 finish at. Hard to believe, as good as he is on so many of the short tracks. Here in Talladega, he has yet to get a top 5.
Bird's eye view of this crash. he just gets loose. He's already got some problems with that left rear tire, and it spins him around. Could have come from some contact earlier.
So caution number 8 on the day involves a Chase Contender, the 9 car of Casey Kane. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Aerial coverage provided by our good friends at Goodyear. New Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. You can calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. Getting set for the restart here in the Tums 500 at Martinsville. We are past the 200 lap mark. 214 to be exact in the books. Denny Hamlin leads them down on the restart. Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick has made a move to take the 3rd spot away.
Okay, that's 2 times in a row. Now you see the 11 car now getting the lead from the outside lane.
Yep. He chose that outside lane that time, so that's interesting.
Mentioned Kevin Harvick hasn't led today. Kevin Harvick drove one heck of a race here yesterday. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series made up 2 laps under green, driving his own truck to finish 5th. And he bounced it off the wall there coming off the corner.
Yeah, but you'll do that probably 2 or 3 times at least throughout these 500 laps. Just hope that it's that lightly that you can do that. Here comes Montoya to the inside.
Battling for position. That is for the 4th spot. Montoya had it by about a hood length there. He will take it away. Here comes Bobby Labonte, and Harvick will pull down on the inside lane.
Yeah, Montoya has a really good race car. He rolls fast. It looks like he's got good forward bite. Jimmy Johnson's going to have his hands full with him today, and Denny Hamlin.
Guys, this is the car that Montoya ran in New Hampshire with, set on the pole and led the most laps. It was their really good flat track car, and it's running pretty well here today on another flat racetrack. Shannon.
Well, speaking with Brian Patty this morning, he told me that this is the best car that they have had here at Martinsville since Montoya has been driving for him. He said, hey, listen, it's not perfect, but it's very good. He said, although we know anything can happen in this race, it really is out of our hands. We have to be flawless on pit road. We have to watch out for other drivers. And of course, we have to have a fast race car, which of course the 42 does.
They are certainly backing up that prediction, Shannon, because Montoya has been a factor. No matter where he restarts, he finds his way back into the top 5.
Jimmy Johnson battling Kyle Busch, trying to take that 2nd spot away. Kyle's hanging tough on the outside.
Martinsville Speedway is essentially 2 drag strips, 800 feet long, attached by very tight turns that are laced with concrete. And right now, Jimmy Johnson has the position. Kyle Busch behind him, and he's under attack from Montoya.
Kyle just doesn't quite. He's got some older tires than what these guys do also, but he's just not able to get that forward bite, and Montoya is going to be able to make that pass here shortly.
Montoya just laid right against Kyle Busch on the front straightaway. Gets the spot now.
Back up front, it is Denny Hamlin, our leader. He dominated here in the spring, did not get the win, and vowed that he would get the victory here in the fall. Dave.
Doc, you were talking about where Montoya's car came from. I asked crew chief Mike Ford tonight, where did this 11 car run last? This particular one. He said Pocono. I said, yeah, I thought you said Pocono. No, he said, really, Pocono. He said it worked in our rotation to have this car come here. And these cars today, you can run them a couple different places with some minor adjustments, places that are very different. Remember, Pocono is 2.5 miles long. Martinsville, 1/2 mile. They've got a good car. And oh, by the way, it won the race at Pocono, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, Dave, he led 91 laps at Pocono. How about that with these new cars, guys? Would you ever have thought with the old car you could bring a Pocono car to Martinsville or Bristol or somewhere like that?
No, not really, but you'd be surprised really how similar Pocono and Martinsville are in some ways. I mean, just the way the track is laid out. I know the speed's a lot different than obviously the length of the track, but Pocono is really kind of a place you could take a short track car and run pretty well.
Remember, Denny Hamlin won both Pocono races his rookie year back in 2006. There's the 14 car of Tony Stewart moving inside of David Reagan. David Reagan's having a good run today. Just lost the 14th position, but hanging there in the top 15. Behind him is the 00 of Rudeman. There's the 07 of Mears. Another good run for Mears. There's the 2 car in the 07, the 2 car of Kurt Busch on the outside. Oh, a little bump there from the 07.
See, Mears doesn't want to give that spot up. Kurt Busch on the outside trying to take it away and see if he can get cleared off of turn 2. See, there's Martin Truex once again, who's back on the lead lap after being 2 laps down with a loose right rear wheel at one point.
Yeah, Truex qualified third and got the break under caution to be able to get the free pass. Again, Truex going to drive the 56 car for Michael Waltrip in 2010. It'll be a Toyota, so only 4 races remaining here with him in this Earnhardt Ganassi Chevy.
Yeah, you can see he just has nowhere to go here. The Casey Mears car and Kurt Busch car continue to run side by side. So just in front of them, David Rudiman now trying to take that spot away from David Reagan.
Great side-by-side action here at Martinsville Speedway. Rudiman, and he will get the position. Now we'll watch for Kurt Busch to go downstairs and use the inside lane.
Yeah, Casey Mears is able to jump in there and fill that spot as David Reagan goes backwards. And Kurt Busch trying to take that spot away now. What makes this place so great, you just have racing everywhere. Makes it difficult. Here's Mark Martin moving up the 4th spot. See, these guys with fresher tires now have come by Kyle Busch. And
well, we've actually got 3 different agendas going on right now. Mark Martin's got 20 lap fresher tires than Kyle Busch. Jeff Gordon has lost some spots now to some other cars that have been passing him on fresh tires, Dave.
Passing. That's the issue for Jeff Gordon. He radioed during that last caution when he had a chance to catch his breath to crew chief Steve Letarte. He said, the car's fine. It's just I cannot pass. You would not believe how tough. He said, forget about passing. So what they're trying to do is make some big changes. Remember I told you last time they put a spring rubber into the right rear to help it turn better and try to help Jeff pass cars on this tight half mile.
Dave was able to get by the 26 car, but he really had to work to get by McMurray. And you see there on your screen Steve Letarte and the guys talking about McMurray, who runs very well here. In fact, finished 10th in the spring race, running back in 13th spot. And there's Tony Stewart behind McMurray. Right in front of this group is the 31 car of Burton and Edwards.
Yeah, Burton's got the freshest tires of anybody out there right now, and he's running down Carl Edwards. He already passed Jeff Gordon. He's made a lot of headway. He lined up 19th on the restart after he made that stop. Him and Kurt Busch made a pit stop for tires and got that third out of phase pit stop sequence going on.
Yeah, and you talk about how difficult it is to pass. It's always been something, regardless of what car, but the competition is so much tighter now. You see Jeff Burton go by on the outside as Carl Edwards lets him have that spot. But you've got that and this car and how close each of these cars are, so it makes it even more difficult to make those passes.
These guys battling back in a pack. Good run for Burton in the 31, the 99, and 24. They're being shown 10th, 11th, and 12th. Guys, they're chasing up front. Denny Hamlin in the 11 car. Hamlin has now led twice for 51 laps, just 13 laps away from halfway.
Just about halfway through the Tums 500 at Martinsville, race 6 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. They'll wrap up the race tonight at 10 Eastern. NASCAR Now on ESPN2. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is the Saturday race next weekend. It's at Talladega at 3:30 Eastern. You'll see that one on Speed. And then next Sunday, the Amp Energy 500, the wild card race in the chase, Talladega, noon Eastern, ABC next Sunday. That should be wild.
That particular race is the one everybody's concerned about. They're freaked out to go to Talladega because anything can happen, and very seldom do you have things in your control at Talladega. Kind of like this place right now. A lot of guys are bumping and banging, burning brakes up, and I think we're at the point of the race right now where we're going to start seeing some failures out of brakes, rear end gears, and tempers.
Looking at the top 3, Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, and Juan Pablo Montoya. Let's take you up to speed as we approach halfway. David, you've got the first word.
And Alan, this sure looks a lot like the spring race where Denny Hamlin had the lead over the 48. I asked kind of with a wink this morning to crew chief Mike Ford, gee, has Denny forgotten about that? Mike said if he has, he's going to get a loud reminder at least once during this race about how he too can be aggressive on the 48. Vince?
Jimmy Johnson has won 10 of the last 20 chase races. Unbelievable, and it's in position at about the halfway point of this race to possibly do it again. Jimmy says the center is awesome, but the car's not quite as good as he gets back on the throttle. Shannon?
Well, Vince, what's one thing you want to hear your crew chief say over the radio during a run. You have the fastest car. Juan Pablo Montoya has heard that several times during this most recent run. Juan Pablo Montoya, who started this race 21st, said, you know, we always have good finishes here at Martinsville. We just don't always have a great car. It is a great car today. It's just a little bit loose. Jamie?
Behind him, Mark Martin. Now, he said at the start of the chase that he wouldn't really feel like he's racing for a championship until race 6. Well, guess what? Race 6 is here. He found himself 90 points back coming into today's race. I talked to Alan Gustafson, his crew chief, and he told me they wanted to figure this track out so bad. They brought a brand new car, went and tested at New Smyrna a week ago, and they're trying to find those little things, and he's just struggling to stay up there in the top 5 to get this car where he wants it. Behind him, Kyle Busch. He led his first laps in the last 7 races. He said about 150 laps ago, this is going to be the worst day at Martinsville ever. Well, this team has rallied together, and this driver got up on the wheel. They have adjusted, they worked, and we've got caution on the track. The 44 is around, guys.
All right, you get her going, fired up.
Okay. You saw a little beating banging right here before this accident happened. We see a replay of this, you're going to see.
It was a 20 and 44 coming off of turn 4. They had a little bit of side-by-side banging as they went down the straightaway. Again, there was contact, and this time A.J. Allmendinger got the worst end of it.
Now look over at Doc. He said it's coming, and he sure did right as soon as they got to the next corner.
Right there, a big break for Dale Jr. He is the only car a lap down. He's going to get the free pass, get him back on the lead lap now.
So Junior gets back in the lead lap, and here's how this happened. Watch it out of turn 4. These guys are a little bit side by side. And then watch the 20 car come down and dive beneath the 44 in 1.
Yeah, it looked pretty intense.
Looked like he tried to do much turning down in there.
Now, previously, there had already been some contact. That's what we're talking about a half a lap before up there coming out of the corner.
Joey, he's laying it to Allmendinger.
Pretty aggressive rookie there, Logano. At the age of 19, he's in the middle, and on the inside, Allmendinger getting him now from behind. Leaders on pit road. Let's go down to Shannon.
Juan Pablo Montoya saying the car's a little bit tight in, loose off. They're going to go back on some of the wedge adjustments they made earlier. Vince.
For the 48, for the first time today, a chassis adjustment. Otherwise, just good in the center, loose off. 4 tires, Dave.
Denny Hamlin's car had been loose off, but that run, it really improved. So just 4 tires of fuel for Denny. Jamie?
Mark Martin wants more drive off, and now he's a little bit tight. A wedge adjustment, 4 tires, and the driver is thirsty. He asked for a drink, and it's a good stop for Mark Martin.
Boy, Jimmy Johnson just took off out of his pits and then suddenly jammed the brakes on. He realized he might have been going. He got it wound down before he got to the end of that segment.
Yeah, he's got it figured out as to how far he can go and how quickly he can go and then slow down before he gets caught speeding in the next segment.
Good work.
See, Montoya loses the spot to Mark Martin.
Well, what a great move by Jimmy Johnson, able to jump in the throttle and then slow down right before they get to that timing segment on pit road, so he is not speeding on pit road.
Yeah, it looked like the 42 might have had a little problem on the left side as they tried to finish up their pit stop.
44 car of A.J. Allmendinger being picked up there by the wreckers as we are under caution for the 9th time here, just past the halfway. Back at Martinsville Speedway here, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series action presented by Goodyear. It is race number 6 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Greg Biffle being shown as our leader for the first time today. He's now led 3 laps as we are under caution for the 9th time today. This incident involving 2 cars, the 20 and the 44, Joey Logano, and that one the heavily damaged Dodge of A.J. Allmendinger. Back with a restart in a moment. Green flag waving here in Martinsville. Greg Biffle, who had been a lap down earlier today, got the free pass, got back on the lead lap, and is now led laps here as he's battling Jimmy Johnson to hold that front spot. Johnson gets him by half a car length entering turn 3.
Oh, Biffle gets the curb a little bit there getting into 3.
Johnson takes a spot. Here comes Mark Martin on the inside. Denny Hamlin digging in behind Martin.
It's really been a long day for Greg Biffle. He just stayed out right here to try to gain a lot of track position and just see how much of it he can hold. Obviously, he's not going to be able to hold it against these fast cars that are leading the race right now, but might pay off for him later.
We showed you Jimmy Johnson gained a position on pit road. Take a look at the time comparison between him and Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, there's a big difference right there. That's 1.8 seconds. Now that's Jimmy getting out of that pit stall and taking advantage of where these timing marks are. He's able to actually speed on pit road where they can't measure it, and it's paying off for him. But if you look at the crew time, I mean, he's 0.8 of a second. His crew is slower than Denny Hamlin, and he passed Denny Hamlin coming off pit road here. You can see right here as they come in together. We can watch these pit crews go to work. You see that Jack's going to come down and he'll stop the right side times, 5.4 versus 5.9 on Jimmy Johnson. Jack times are very similar.
Now watch a 48 just rocket out of his pits.
And right here, this is where Jimmy Johnson is able to just take off out of his pit stall and actually go faster than pit road speed for just a moment. The total time is almost 0.8 of a second difference, but you see Jimmy Johnson able to take the lead away from Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, and something that added to that just a little bit is they got down to make the corner on pit road that Denny Hamlin had to kind of give up because cars were going to be coming out. There was an official standing out there at pit road, so that takes that drive time and makes it a little bit more skewed, but Jimmy Johnson's doing a fantastic job. That's another thing that makes them a championship team and driver, because they take advantage of all the different scenarios.
Top 5 cars on the racetrack right now are Chase contenders. Here's Montoya looking to the inside of Hamlin for third position. He is there, and he will try to hold it up the back straightaway.
Okay, we see the 3 best cars today has been the 42, the 11, and the 48. Montoya's been able to pass both of the other 2 cars at one point during the day. Makes that pass on Hamlin.
If he has anything left for the end of this race, it's going to be exciting.
Gaggle of cars back here. 83 gets a little tap from Ruderman behind. Here is the 1 car of Truex now.
What's the technical term for a gaggle? How many does it have to be?
That's a cluster.
Which is how many?
Yeah, you haven't told us how many now.
Yeah, medically I think it's a dozen or more in a cluster. But the 1 car there, Truex, who was a lap down, got the free pass. Look at the smoke coming off these guys.
Rubbin's racing.
As Harry Hogg would say in Days of Thunder, and there finally Truex will get through. David Reagan having a good run today.
Yeah, and we're going to see more than we are less in these next 230 laps of this rubbing. It starts to intensify even more.
Yeah, we talk about give and take, and you see a lot of that during the first half of the race. It becomes a whole lot more take when you get down to those last 150 laps.
It's more, I'm going to give you my bumper and take your position.
Yeah, any patience that you might have had is already gone out the window.
ABC Comedy Wednesday, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Modern Family is the #1 new comedy of the fall. All the critics in all America can't stop laughing and talking about them. ABC's Modern Family, Wednesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on ABC Comedy Wednesday. What a great show. Good group here side by side. Carl Edwards in the 99 car, the 2 car of Kurt Busch. And that is 14th, 15th. Mears back there in 16th spot. Vickers, the 83 car, in 17th.
You can see Greg Biffle right there completely sideways coming out of turn 2.
Look at Edwards in the middle of those 2. You can't go 3 wide at Martinsville. Oh, he thinks better of it.
Well, Greg Urban put Greg Biffle in a pretty tough spot here, out in front of a lot of fast cars without good tires, without new tires.
You can see Casey Mears was thinking about diving to the inside, thought better of it. Biffle up on the curb once again. He is really struggling with that car.
Biffle's tires are 42 laps older than the guys that are around him. He's still trying to hang on.
Now we're looking at 3 wide.
Mears on the bottom on the inside. He will get the spot away. Let's update Biffle. Vince.
Well, not only are they on older tires, this is a really tough track for this team anyway. In fact, they weren't good here in the spring, and having practice rained out yesterday cost them valuable practice time. If there's some of these teams that were pretty good even without the practice. This 16 team is a team that needed every lap it could have gotten here yesterday, and it got none. So you take that situation, you put it on old tires when everybody else has got the fresh rubber. Not a good scenario for the 16.
Yeah, Vince, I spent some time with Greg Biffle this morning, and he said, man, they really needed that practice because Friday they threw a lot of big things at the car, but really never got to dial it in. Got one around, yep.
Caution again. There's a 09 involved. That is Sterling Marlin. He's going to have to hustle to stay in front of the leader, and he gets around. So does a 34 of Andretti.
Yeah, that was Casey Kane and John Andretti that created that situation. With Andretti getting spun around, Casey Kane was able to go on. I think Sterling had just kind of stopped over there to keep from being a part of it.
John Andretti able to stay on the lead lap. There's the contact here, the 9 and the 34.
You can see Casey Kane was down up on the curbing on the inside, and it shot him up in front of, or into John Andretti.
And you see Casey Kane just trying to shove him out of the way so he can get around.
John Andretti, a former winner here at Martinsville, driving for the King Richard Petty. And there will be no free pass. There's John Andretti's car. John won it here back in 1999, led the final 4 laps. And again, no free pass. It would have been the 9 car of Casey Kane. Since he was involved in the incident, no one will get back on the lead lap. Back with the restart in just a moment.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC, brought to you by Amp Energy, Amp Up, and AT&T. Vote for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award from your AT&T phone. Text the car number of the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable in today's race to 2258. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network.
And while we work the 10th caution here in Martinsville, remind you about Monday Night Football as 2 NFC East rivals take it on. Donovan McNabb and the Philadelphia Eagles and Clinton Portis and the Washington Redskins on ESPN's Monday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern. Coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 7 Eastern Time.
Jim Zorn been on the hot seat all week. It's going to be interesting to see. Got a new offensive coordinator. Can the Redskins get it done?
Can Mark Martin get it done? He's outside of his teammate Jimmy Johnson for this restart. Martin, one of the guys that has not led yet today. Let's see if he can get the jump.
Mark Martin, like the Redskins, trying to find some offense there. They gang up behind him, and now Jimmy Johnson gets a great start there, and he will pull Martin by a car length.
I don't know, but NASCAR may say something to Jimmy Johnson about that. It looks like he kind of backed off and stacked everything up right there.
Yeah, they usually frown on that. He definitely did slow the field down right there, right before the green. It's a really good thing they didn't stack up and crash right there.
Yeah, almost produced a chain reaction behind him. Really hurt Mark Martin, cost him second position. There comes Kyle Busch on the outside. Jeff Gordon on the high side of the 31 car of Burton. Past the halfway point, we still have 31 cars on the lead lap. John Andretti involved in that last shunt. Still the final car on the lead lap. Great side-by-side action here at Martinsville.
Oh, Jeff Burton.
Nearly out of shape. Gathers it back in as he gets passed for position by Jeff Gordon. Let's look at the restart again and show you what we're talking about with the 48 car.
Well, you can see as long as he keeps up what is their pit road speed right there.
We've got a race for the lead. We'll get back to that restart here in just a second, but here comes Montoya.
He was all the way up beside the 48 car, and then Jimmy was able to pull him off the corner and get back by.
This has really so far been the only car to pass Jimmy Johnson all day long. Denny Hamlin's led some, but he got that lead through a pit stop exchange.
Montoya, who had backed up a car length, now moves back to within about 3 feet of Jimmy Johnson.
Guys, you can tell that 48's driving hard in these restarts with Montoya behind him. I heard the rev limiter kicking in on the engine the last 4 or 5 laps, so you know Andy's up against it and driving hard. It should back off on a couple laps, though.
Yeah, I heard that too, Rusty. I heard that rev limiter kick in, and you guys are on the backstretch. You can probably hear it better.
Yeah, you can really hear him. He's driving the wheels off that baby. But Montoya, you know, I've been watching these guys as this thing's unwinding. It's crystal clear to me that right now, Johnson, Martin, Juan Pablo Montoya, and Hamlin definitely got the best cars in the field. So here we are, 285 laps in this race right now, guys. And those 4 are the guys shining at the moment.
Rusty, pretty apparent that Montoya not embarrassed or afraid to use the front of that Impala. He used it on Jeff Gordon earlier, and now he's getting right there on the bumper of Jimmy Johnson in the corner.
Yeah, as I watch him, though, he's really driving this car down into the corner. I hope his brakes will withstand all of this.
Guys, you can really tell that Montoya, after last week's problem at Charlotte, really wants to make it up a little bit, get some points. I mean, you just got to believe that he's very, very frustrated that he's back in the points right now. He's 4th, 215 points behind. He's trying to make some ground up today.
Hey, watch this brake, our telemetry here, and watch the brake. Darrell Waltrip always told me if you're still on the brake down in the center of the corner, you're not going to have brakes left at the end of the race.
Well, if they can just get a little clean air, Dale, you know, if he can just get away from the guys and let that baby roll into the corner and don't use the brakes up, that's going to pay off in the end. I mean, there's 212 laps left to go. And we heard him earlier complaining about his brakes. I wouldn't get too aggressive chasing Johnson down right now.
You gotta be the champ. You gotta beat the champ.
How about that for a challenge for Juan Pablo Montoya?
Got a little stack up coming off turn 2. Oh, you know, Montoya's not afraid to do whatever he has to win, and he's not intimidated by Jimmy Johnson at all, I promise you.
Little battle here for 6th position, Kyle Busch and Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman's had a good car today. It went away early after about lap 150 or so. Now it has come back. Here comes a 24 car in talking about comebacks.
Kyle Busch has been trying to make this pass on the outside for the last 3 laps. It's going to be pretty impressive if he can do that. See, he clears him there off of turn 4.
Here comes Newman back again, though, on the inside.
Kyle Busch has never won here at Martinsville. He's got a couple of 4th place finishes. His best finishes here in 9 starts. Finished 24th here in the spring. Now that slow restart we talked about a little bit ago with the 48 car really stacked up some cars behind him and really cost a 24 car.
You see all the accordion effect right there in that inside lane.
Oh, that's on board with Jeff Gordon right into the back of the 18 car of Kyle Busch.
It doesn't look like it's affected his car, but that's certainly Jimmy Johnson just trying to break the rhythm of the guy on the outside to where he can get down into turn 1, not have anybody on the outside of his right rear quarter, which makes it an easier transition for him to take the lead and keep that lead off of turn 2. But the one thing you can't do as the leader of the race is slow down or brake check these guys. And I'm sure that NASCAR is taking a look at that, but
let's update the 24 car. Dave.
So far, guys, he hasn't said anything on the radio regarding that impact with the 18 cars. He now is going to look way to the inside of Newman and he's going to take over that spot. What is better for him is the car turning a little bit better, or actually getting drive off the corner better. There was none on the previous run. This last run, he said that's definitely better. I can drive off the corner much better. Jamie?
Now, Ryan Newman, you guys were talking about the great run today. Now, this is the same car he ran in the spring, but his crew chief, Tony Gibson, took it back and stripped this car down, made it lighter, moved some weights around. They came out on Friday, did not make a qualifying run, and went out and put it on the pole. They were really excited with what they had, but they are snug in the center. That has been the problem all day. He's kind of fluctuated back and forth, but those adjustments seem to have worked this last stop.
Right behind him, the 26 car, really good run for Jamie McMurray. I told you he started 28th here in March and finished 10th. He likes this racetrack and has kept his car essentially clean and has stayed right there in the top 10 for much of the day.
Yeah, he's been very solid all day long. When he's had good tires and same tires as the rest of the guys, he's been able to make passes and kept himself out of trouble. Even when things around him were getting a little bit hairy, he was able to go through those and got himself up here in the top 10 right now.
They talk about how hairy it gets here in the final 200 laps. We are 2 laps away from 200 to go. And Juan Pablo Montoya may be running out of patience right now. He's chasing Jimmy Johnson. Back in a moment. Leaders on pit road under caution here at Martinsville for the 11th time of day. There's the 11 car of Denny Hamlin trying to get his service. 5 car of Mark Martin. See the 48 of Johnson going by. And here's the former pole sitter, Ryan Newman. 48 goes by, 5 goes by, and they just parade by Newman. There's the 18 and 24.
And Montoya loses 2 more spots on pit road.
Came in running second, out 4th. Martin and Hamlin both gaining a spot. Why are we under caution for the 11th time of day? Well, we told you that the 9 cars had its issues here at this racetrack, and there's Casey Kane on pit road. We'll show you what happened to Casey.
Or just goes straight. Their right front tire was down.
Yeah, I heard them talking. They may have had a problem with the sway bar arm rubbing that right front tire, and that could have been possibly what cut that. And I think they're having to replace that now, among other things.
was an uncontrolled tire on the 6 car. He will go to the tail end of the field. Also mentioned the 00, David Rudiman and Tony Stewart stayed on the racetrack. They did not pit. Both those cars had pitted on lap 277. So there is Rudiman being shown as a leader. Tony Stewart behind him. Elliott Sadler also there in 3rd spot. Matt Kenseth and John Andretti. Those 4 cars stayed out.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt Jr. moved his way up to 15th, and he came out of the pits 30th. Lost 15 spots on pit road.
Junior had been 2 laps down. We just joined our coverage because of damage in a cut tire. And now he has made up both those laps by getting the free pass and was all the way up in the top 20, Andy.
Yeah, I don't know. I tried to watch. There's a lot of action down there. Couldn't really figure out what happened, but they did lose a lot of spots.
Let's talk to our in-race reporter, Denny Hamlin.
Hey, Denny, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
10-4.
Well, it looks like you've got a really good race car. You've been able to size up your competition. What do you think your chances to win this thing are?
Well, we need some long run. Our cars just will not take off very good on the short run, but it seems like those guys can really take off, and it takes our car just about 25 laps to really kind of come in to where it starts turning. So we just need to get a little bit better on the short run, and if we can do that, then I think we'll have something for them.
All right, Danny, thanks for talking with us. Good luck.
Thanks.
Only 1 to go. Now they'll get the green flag next time by. So Rudiman, Stewart, Elliott Sadler. The 19 car of Elliott Sadler, by the way, neat little story. This coming Tuesday, we talked about Elliott and his wife are going to have a baby. They're going to get both families together and give everybody an envelope and let them all open the envelope at the same time and find out exactly what it is. Well, it's going to be a little Hokie or a little Tar Heel, or a little boy, little girl. Hey, Vince.
Well, Jimmy Johnson came in for that pit stop last time, and for the first time during the course of this race, he complained that the car wasn't quite as good in the center as he would like. Throughout the day today, he's been really happy with the center, but not so much that last time, so they made a track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment. Doc?
See if those adjustments are going to work, Vince, to see what Tony Stewart can do up there as well. He had been languishing back in about 18th position. Just couldn't go anywhere. Let's see, and Rudiman's had a pretty good car off and on. It had gone away.
Boy, Stewart gets a terrible restart. Just doesn't get going as good as Rudiman, but he drives back up on the outside of Rudiman off turn 2. Tries to.
Jimmy Johnson trying to go the outside of Matt Kenseth. See if he can make some spots up on that high side on the restart.
Yeah, what happened to Junior on that pit stop is he missed his pit, had to back up actually and get back in his pit stall. He actually slid through the pits and had to come back. That's what cost him so much time.
Yeah, Kurt Busch lost quite a bit of time in there too. He'd gotten into his pit and too close to the wall at the front end. He had to back up out of his. So guys making some mistakes on pit road that'll really cost him.
Jimmy Johnson diving down right against that curbing to get underneath the 17 car of Kenseth, and there's Hamlin right on Johnson's bumper.
Man, Luke Stewart gets real sideways off turn 2.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a car around Truex.
Spins
no
it around.
caution.
Keep digging.
Still green.
Does a little Joey Chitwood 360 and then gets back after it.
He told me on purpose.
Somebody thinks they got dumped on purpose right there.
Well, now you have a goal in life.
If we can see what happened here with the 1 car Truex.
He bumps into the curb there. You see Scrimmy does, and then he gets into the left rear.
Now entering one's where the contact.
I don't know what that was all about.
I don't know if he meant to spin him, but he definitely meant to hit him.
Back up front, the 00. Rudiman is the leader. Tony Stewart in 2nd spot, and now he is that's stabilized as Rudiman's moved away, and Jimmy Johnson now is pulled to within about 4 car lengths of Stewart.
Now Rudiman checked out here. He's run some fast lap times out front.
Elliott Sadler trying to hold off Denny Hamlin for 4th position. Lap 313 of 500 here at Martinsville, Virginia, the shortest, tightest, and arguably most competitive track in all of NASCAR. It is stop number 6 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Jimmy Johnson, who has won 5 of the last 6, trying to get back up there and retake the lead as he takes the 2nd position or tries to take it away from Tony Stewart. There he will take that spot away. Now sets his sights on David Rudeman, who has just pulled away by half a straightaway.
Like Dale said, he is running some extremely fast lap times. Ran his fastest lap of his race just a couple of laps ago.
You can see Denny Hamlin there. He said his car just couldn't quite get going as good as he needed it to on these restarts. It took him about 25 laps for it to come in. He just needs to keep some pretty good contact on that 48. And he thinks he might have something for him if they can get into a long green run. We haven't really seen that today.
Kevin Harvick is hung right there as well. He has never won here at Martinsville in a Cup car.
And NASCAR has just delivered a message to the 12 car that if he uses that front bumper again, that it will draw a penalty. Saw what the contact between him and Martin Truex.
Was Martin down on the inside of Sadler to take a spot away. That is for 7th position. Here's the 14 and the 11 battling for 3rd position.
Yeah, Tony Stewart's putting up a little bit of a fight here, but his car's just not that good here so far today. They decided to stay out in that last caution, get some track position, see if that would help their cause today.
Hamlin down on the inside of Stewart. Former teammates when they drove for Joe Gibbs Racing, and Stewart still pulls him off. Even with the older tires, able to get him by half a car length coming off the corner.
Yeah, I think this is going to work for Stewart. He's going to lose some spots right here, but I think it is going to change his world a little bit. He was just back there like sitting all that traffic, couldn't do anything. He's fighting hard to try to keep some of this track position.
You can see Denny, he said his car just wouldn't turn quite as good as he needs to. That means he has too much wheel in it, and he can't accelerate up off with the car on the outside of him, as he's able to clear Tony Stewart now. Up front, Jimmy Johnson is almost to the rear bumper, as you see on a shot here, Kevin Harvick, but Jimmy Johnson's caught David Rudeman.
Johnson now looking on the inside, looking on Rudeman. And David will give him some room. Jimmy will now pull even with him or try to off the corner.
Jimmy Johnson can just really get down into the corner, and car rolls so fast. What allows him to run such fast lap times.
I was watching him practice, and what he does, he gets down in there and gets his car woed down and gets off that brake pedal as quick as anybody.
Look at that. Jimmy Johnson's now led over 100 laps in 7 of the last 8 races. Now, what about his teammate, Jeff Gordon, who has lost some positions? He's lost 4 spots since the restart there in the 24 car.
Had an up-down day. A couple times we see him going forward and see him a few times going backwards.
Gordon back in 15th position there and in jeopardy of losing some more. You see the 17 car there. Kenseth behind him. McMurray and Mears.
Jeff is just really having trouble with traffic. We heard him talk earlier how difficult it was for him in his 24 car to make passes. Here comes Montoya again.
Well, what a surprise. Montoya getting aggressive on his way back to the front here. Can he get there, though? It is Johnson, Rudeman, and Denny Hamlin he is chasing. It'll be 175 laps to go. Aerial coverage from high above Martinsville Speedway, courtesy of our good friends at Goodyear. New Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. Laps ticking away here in the Tums 500 at Martinsville. Jimmy Johnson now has led 5 times for 131 laps. In the last 8 races here at Martinsville, now Jimmy Johnson has led over 1,370 laps.
Wow. Yeah, but he's great. If he looks in his mirror, he might see a guy that has a little bit of revenge on his mind. Denny Hamlin's moved into that 2nd spot. Montoya tries to take over the 3rd spot.
Keyword is trying as the 0-0. David Rudeman doesn't want to let him. Rudeman on older tires, and Hamlin will have the inside lane and the fresher tire. I should say Montoya has the inside lane and the fresher tire.
Yeah, and he won't let a little contact hold up his progress either. Here comes Mark Martin diving in there to try to take that spot away also. Shannon, what are they saying about Montoya now?
Well, Juan Pablo Montoya just a little bit tight still. Forward bite has been the biggest issue all race for this 42 team. On that last pit stop, they got a little bit aggressive. They went half a round down on the track bar. First time they've touched that track bar all day. It took 4 tires for that 42. Jamie?
And before that last pit stop for Mark Martin, he said he just wasn't getting off the corner like he wanted to, but despite that, they didn't make any adjustments. They took 4 tires. They gained 1 spot in the pits, but better yet, they were given the lead on that pit stop, and they gained 5 points. And as you guys know in the booth, every point counts when you're running second for a championship.
You're exactly right, Jamie. Every single point counts. He came in 90 points back. Right now, he's 120 back of the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson.
Andy, we were talking before the race about some things these guys keep talking about, trying to get more forward bite, tighten it up. Not careful, you'll get yourself in trouble in the center of the corner, won't you?
Yeah, I've seen that many, many times here because of this racetrack just being all about mechanical grip. You try to tighten the car up, you end up having too much steering wheel in the car to get it to turn, and it'll actually make the car looser. The driver will keep telling you you're going the wrong way when you're actually trying to tighten it up, and sometimes you just have to go the other way.
The 2 cars certainly had some frustration here off and on today, particularly on pit road.
See, he gets in the pits all kind of crossways. They get the right side tire change, and obviously they can't get around the front to get the jack on the left side, so they're going to have to back up. Oh my. Oh, the crew's getting frustrated now. You see run over the hose a few times. About got run over themselves. It's like the rear tire changer getting just a little bit frustrated. Yeah.
Dave.
And as we see Kurt working the wheel here, the car is loose, very loose. So loose, in fact, Kurt just radioed into his crew. It's so loose, I think we should short pit. Now, Andy, what does that mean, and at what lap these days do you think they should short pit? The very opening of their final fuel window, like maybe lap 360 or 370?
Dave, I don't think this is a track you would want to do that. This is not a track that typically goes green. You would short pit if you thought the race was going to go green to the finish. I don't think there's anybody here thinks this one's going to green to the finish, and I just don't think that's a good idea at all. If I was Kurt's crew chief, I'd say, look, we just settle down here, make as good laps as we can, and we'll pit the next time the caution comes out.
Yeah, I mean, generally at this racetrack, somewhere along this time, we get a longer green flag run, but you're going to find yourself 2 laps down if you short pit, and if you get one of those cautions just like you're talking about, then you'll be in real trouble.
Here's the 88 car who began the day and ended up losing a couple of laps because of a cut tire, some contact on pit road with Denny Hamlin, and got both those laps back because of getting the free pass. Got all the way up to the 16th position, came on pit road, lost about a dozen spots in the pits, restarted in 31st, and now Dale Earnhardt Jr. is back up in 24th position, trying to climb back toward the front. Here are the Sprint Cup chase drivers and where they are running right now. No surprise, Jimmy Johnson is our leader. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Jimmy Johnson, our leader here, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Martinsville, presented by Goodyear. Johnson has now led 5 times for 150 of 348 laps. We've had 12 leaders, 20 lead changes. We've had cautions for 11 times, 63 total laps under the yellow. Johnson the leader, Hamlin in 2nd spot. Juan Pablo Montoya is 3rd, Martin 4th, and Ryan Newman is 5th.
You see right here, Denny Hamlin is working by a lot of these cars. This is the part of the race that you can sit back here in a good position. He's in 2nd spot. Jimmy Johnson's not really going anywhere because there's a lot of lap cars in front. This is a time where you can actually save your car a little bit.
Tell you what, I really like what Denny Hamlin's doing, Andy. I mean, take a look at the distance between him and the car in front of him. About 8 car lengths between him and Jimmy Johnson there. I mean, he's just saving his car. He's just letting that thing just kind of go in the corner nice and easy. And Denny did say earlier that he likes long runs. Can't get going on the short run. I think he's feeling very confident right now. I don't see any heat in his brakes to speak of. Looks real good. I kind of like the way this guy's looking now. And you did say that they were worried about the 11 car. You talked to Chad Canals. He said the guy I'm concerned about is definitely Denny Hamlin. He's the guy I think I got to beat.
As watch him brake here some. See, he's getting off of him. He doesn't get on him really hard. He'll roll out of the throttle before he gets to the point of getting on the brake. Does a really smooth job.
Tell you, if we can listen to his throttle a little bit the next lap, you'll hear that he gets out of it. You can let's just stay quiet here for 1 second.
I've seen Rusty do this many times in races up here, take sections of the race and really just kind of take care of his car and really not even lose any time.
And that's a key thing right there. I mean, a lot of people, it's hard to believe that you get out of the gas to start finish line and you can coast that far down into the center of the corner and not lose any time. And you maybe lose 1/10 of a second, and then when they pressure, you take back off. It's all about conserving your car.
And it's interesting, Rusty, because you can put fresh tires on the car, but you can't put fresh brakes on the car by the end of the race, and that's one of the things I know you guys are referring to. Talking to Mike Ford this morning about their progress here at Martinsville, he said, we still feel this weekend like we're as good as we've been. The only thing we don't know, have the others caught up to us? You can see as he moves in on Jimmy Johnson, they're still very sharp here, and Johnson may be beatable. We'll see in this final 100 laps or so, guys.
Yeah, I think one thing that impressed me earlier when Denny Hamlin was leading this race, Jimmy Johnson worked his way up to second. Denny had about 40 laps older tires, and you thought that, well, Jimmy's just going to go up there and pass him and go on. He never caught Denny Hamlin. Denny's car just seemed to get better and better, or didn't slow down as much as they got a lot of laps on him. So he's exactly right. You see now he's up to the bumper almost of Jimmy Johnson at this point in time.
Yeah, he saw that lap traffic up there, and all he was able to just kind of ease right up through there, not really use his car much, and just kind of ease right back up to the bumper.
We just joined our coverage back in the spring race here. It was these same two guys, the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, the 11 of Denny Hamlin, that were battling for the win. Hamlin had led the most laps.
Gives him a little love tap.
Gave a little tap there, and with 16 laps ago, it was Jimmy Johnson that gave the 11 car a tap and was able to get by and get the win. Hamlin has not forgotten that and said he will remember it at the appropriate time today.
Well, I think the appropriate time's later in the race. I wouldn't do it right now because Jimmy'd have plenty of time to pay him back yet again.
But you can see how much better his car is right through the center of the corner now than what Jimmy Johnson's is. That's where his car's really rolling.
And you can see Jimmy Johnson giving him a little bit of a hand signal there. I don't know if
Dale Jr.'s got trouble again off of turn 4. Another flat right front tire. Looks like he may be able to make it back around to pit road if he can get a break in traffic and get down.
That's the problem at this track, though. This car's all the way around the racetrack, and you got a flat tire. It's hard to get down.
We stay green, no caution thus far, and he's trying to limp that car down the back straightaway now. There should be an opening if he can go over now.
Yeah, he's got it. He finally made it over.
We will stay green here at Martinsville. 140 laps to go. Now, Andy, they're going to be moving into their fuel window here pretty soon where they can make it on one more stop.
Yeah, but it's still all about tires here, Doc. You know, they can make it on fuel possibly. You see Denny Hamlin now making that move inside.
They're going to be 3 wide here off of turn 2.
Hamlin inside of the 48 car there, who's inside the 16 of Biffle. And Hamlin now will stay there as they come in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, this is a spot Denny Hamlin hadn't had to use his bumper. His car is just a little bit better.
Gonna have to make this pass in a hurry because they're going to be moving in on some traffic in front of them. That's 2 wide, Stremme and Andretti. Now they follow that single file as they stay doubled up here. Hamlin still trying to get the pass made.
Yeah, he pushes Jimmy up a little bit out of the groove right there. He's able to take the lead.
Jimmy not quite ready to give it up, but he'll give Hamlin a little tap.
Like Rusty was talking about, Denny Hamlin said he had a car that was really good on long runs, and now with this run he's been able to run the 48 down, save his brakes, and now make the pass.
Yeah, looks like Jimmy's struggling a little bit on the exit of the corner right now.
So Denny Hamlin retakes the lead. The native Virginian showing the way here with 136 laps to run at Martinsville.
Denny Hamlin, the leader, with 131 laps to go, said he needed long green flag runs. We've been under green for a little over 60 laps now, and Hamlin ran down Jimmy Johnson and has gone by him into the top spot. It is Juan Pablo Montoya, Mark Martin, and Ryan Newman filling out the rest of the top 5. The rest of the top 10, Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick, Brian Vickers, Kyle Busch, and Jeff Gordon back in 10th spot. Now, Gordon led early in this race, but since getting shuffled back in traffic, really has not been a factor to get up front and take the top spot. Let's go find out what's going on with Gordon and some of these other cars just outside the top 10. Dave?
Yeah, Jeff wishes he was a lot more inside the top 10 than he is right now. Crew Chief Steve Letarte knows that Jeff has abilities here with his 7 wins. He says there's a little more pressure on us to give him the right race car all day long. They have not done that today, and Jeff languishes further back than he wants to be.
Carl Edwards ran 3rd here last October, but he was 26th here in March. He's somewhere in between today. Been fighting a tight race car much of the afternoon, and you see him right there mired in traffic, and they knew they were going to be in that situation starting 29. They'd be in it all day long, and they have been. Jamie.
And David Ruderman behind him, still a little under the weather, didn't have much of a voice this weekend, but right now he says this is the best the car has been on the drive off. They got themselves off the sequence, and that got the track position, and that means everything. Behind him, Tony Stewart. You guys, I heard you wondering about what's going on in front of him. Tony Stewart just made the pass. Said that his car has no bite and it's dead in the center, and that's because he's extremely tight. You remember back to the spring race, he got a top 3 here. That was the first top 5 for Stewart-Haas Racing, and it gave this team a big boost. Dave?
There will be a change in Richard Childress Racing next week. Todd Barrier, who's crew chiefing this car right here, Casey Mears, will move over to the 31 car of Jeff Burton. That's a company move that Barrier says, I understand and I'm okay with it. Just take me a little time to build some chemistry with the other guy. Casey having a great run, but Todd Barrier called this day, it's like the last day of school. 96 right now of Bobby Labonte. The car is still tight. They made a track bar adjustment on the lap 302 stop when they came down pit road. Great run for Bobby here. He has won here before, been a few years back, but they've kept this car in the run all day long. Now, we talked about Jeff Burton and his crew chief becoming Todd Barrier next week. It's a good time to get some chemistry going for next year. A lot of guys build cars for 2010 about this time of the year, so why not start with a new crew chief? That'll happen next week at Talladega. Jamie?
And Joey Logano all over Jeff Burton's bumper right now in the 20 car. His second start here at Martinsville, but the first time he had to qualify, and he qualified 7th. Greg Zipadelli, his crew chief, told me he sends homework home with Joey Logano. He makes him fill out debrief cards, write notes, and fill it out, and it is paying off. This kid is figuring out Martinsville here. You see Joey go to the inside. This kid is pretty incredible, and he reads those notes and is learning a lot, Vince.
Running 18th is Jamie McMurray in the 26 car, struggling with the fact that he just can't get back on the gas without shattering the tires. McMurray was 10th here in March, a solid run today, but they just haven't been able to move up that extra level. And right now, Elliott Sadler is running behind him. Sadler in the 19 car, tight in the middle, been fighting that all day long. They made an air pressure adjustment, chassis adjustments to try to help it out. Still can't make any headway. They're going to take another swing at it in this final stop. Dave?
Kurt Busch running in the 20th position right now. He restarted 28th, so he has made up some ground after pitting too close to the wall. They tested a lot for this race. Doesn't seem to have paid off for him here this weekend, but it's better than it might have been after he started back 37th, Alan.
All right, David, thank you. And the final car in the lead lap is Paul Menard in that 98 car. He runs in 21st position. The leader, Denny Hamlin, has just overtaken David Stremme and put the 22nd place runner a lap down. So, Denny Hamlin out in front with 120 laps to go. Still at least one more round of pit stops. And by the way, we've had 11 cautions and probably not done with a yellow flag yet either.
Denny Hamlin, our leader here at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Martinsville, presented by Goodyear. Heavy traffic now in front of Denny Hamlin. We still have one more pit stop to make, and Hamlin now trying to weave his way by Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's been on and off pit road for fresh tires. There's Paul Menard and Elliott Sadler. Those guys trying to stay on the lead lap. They are 20th and 21st.
Yeah, that's the thing, is the leader. You come up on these guys trying to make sure they can stay on that lead lap in case a caution comes out. They were racing really hard. Dale Jr. has fresher tires. He's been out and he's passed Denny Hamlin actually, but he can't go anywhere if Elliott Sadler and Paul Menard were running side by side.
Still 34 cars running on the racetrack. We now have 20 cars on the lead lap. So if you make a mistake now, Andy, still in the final 100 laps, you can have a horrible finish here.
Yeah, and it's still going to come down probably to that last pit stop, too. You've seen how Denny Hamlin and Jimmy Johnson have been racing each other on pit road, and Johnson actually getting the better of him on pit road because of the way he's coming in and out of his pit stall.
Jimmy Johnson better hope that this thing comes down to a short run at some point in time later in this race if he's going to have a chance, because Denny Hamlin definitely has a superior car today on a longer run.
This is the longest green flag run we've had today, and we talked about how that car number 11 is so good on long runs. Now 83 consecutive laps under green, and the 11 car just able to zip by the 48.
Yeah, you see Denny Hamlin, he's working on Paul Menard up here trying to put him down a lap. He's got more than just putting another car a lap down at stake here. If he can get Paul down, he's pitted right next to the 11 car, and it'll give Denny some more room in the pits under a caution flag pit stop should he get Paul down a lap, because they only allow the lead lap cars to pit the first round of pit stops. He's going to get that done right here. This is going to be a good key move right here for the 11. Well, should the caution come out. He's gotten hung up with that 98 a couple of times on pit road.
And now he's able to get by him and put him a lap down. Good point, Andy. What a shot in the arm this would be for the 11 team, DJ. Coming off back-to-back DNFs, a 37th place finish, an accident when they were leading at California, an engine issue at Charlotte where they finished 42nd, and they've lost 5 positions in the points. To be able to bounce back and maybe get a win at Martinsville would be a tremendous momentum shift.
Yeah, it really would. And talking to Denny Hamlin the other day, yeah, he was trying to stay as positive as he could with everything that was going on around him over the last few weeks. He said, look, we've been competitive every single week, and he wasn't just making that up. That's obviously fact that they have had the cars to be up in the middle of the chase, but things just haven't worked out. But this would be a nice shot in the arm for them.
Still some pushing and shoving all around the racetrack here as we move in on 100 laps to go. The 18 car of Kyle Busch and the 99 of Carl Edwards.
Carl driving in there, sees a little opening right there, going to try to take it. Not quite enough room. Going to make some room. Looks like Kyle Busch going to make a little room.
Come back and give him a little shove back.
Okay.
My turn.
Turnabout's fair play, I guess.
These are the two guys that are battling, by the way, for the NASCAR Nationwide Series Championship. Jamie.
And usually it's pretty clean, but I don't think it turned out that way. Here's the radio.
I remember earlier in the race I let him go, yet he drives in the side of me, and then he flips me off. Good job, Carl. Well, leave my lane here, corner.
Kyle saying that Carl Edwards flipped him off there. Of course, he got the short end of the stick. Kyle Busch lost some positions. He's back in 13th right now, guys. He says he's just losing a lot of time up off right now.
And Jamie, Carl Edwards has now moved into the top 10, so a good run for Carl after starting way in the back of the pack in 29th position. 103 laps to go. They're going to have to make one more pit stop. Denny Hamlin right now showing the way, 1.8 second lead over Jimmy Johnson, Montoya, and Martin. Hovering above Martinsville Speedway, the Goodyear blimp, just provided by our good friends at Goodyear. New Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. 31 car that's had such a good run much of the day. Jeff Burton surprisingly getting ready to go a lap down to Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, he had a good run going early in the race, and now just struggling with the car. Denny Hamlin's car is just so good on long runs, like Dale said.
And yet just a small adjustment that doesn't agree with your car, you get back in traffic, and this is what happens. We're on a half-mile racetrack. You find yourself getting lapped by a leader.
It's been about 100 laps since these cars pitted.
Yeah, the 0-0 in 14, it stayed out. Rudeman and Tony Stewart, they're going to have to be getting on pit road here pretty soon. They pitted on lap 277.
Yeah, and you can see in our shot right before we left Denny Hamlin there that the 2 car of Kurt Busch has gone a lap down also. He complained earlier his car was extremely loose. Now they find themselves a lap down.
Inside of 100 laps to go here in Martinsville, Virginia. Jimmy Johnson has led the most laps. He's led 164. Denny Hamlin now has led 110 laps. At 12 leaders, 21 lead changes. Looking at the fuel window on these guys here, you see Hamlin, Johnson, and Montoya.
And they have a little bit more fuel, like I said, than Tony Stewart and David Ruderman.
Yeah, there always comes that time in this race that you get that longer green flag run, something over 100 laps. You don't know when it's coming, but you find yourself in that position, and if your car's not very good or you've stayed out and taken a chance, then you find yourself in trouble.
This is the battle on pit road right here. 5 stops for Denny Hamlin, 13.3. And then you see Jimmy Johnson just a little bit off of that. Yeah, those tenths of a second make a difference.
So head-to-head, Denny Hamlin's guys have gotten it done in the pits. Mike Ford and company, and they're going to need this next stop could be the money stop, although we typically get some yellow flags here in the final 100 laps. They're going to have to make this pit stop probably under the green.
Oh, I feel like maybe that 14 and 00 will have to make one under green, and just haven't seen. This is, like I said, the longest run, and we've seen some of these tire beads giving up after 50, 60 laps even on some cars. So still that could happen at any moment.
Yeah, there was Elliott Sadler pulling off of pit road. He was one of those cars that had stayed out, and now he's had to make his green flag pit stop.
John Andretti came in as well. He had stayed out, so expecting some leaders to be on pit road, maybe the 14 and 00 very soon. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Getting to the final stages of today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race, Martinsville, Virginia. Our coverage presented by Goodyear. 83 laps to go for leader Denny Hamlin. And another crucial round of pit stops coming up. All kinds of things to consider as we get ready for these pit stops. Have a little mini roundtable discussion here with Rusty, Brad, Andy, DJ, and Doc up in the booth. Let's talk first about pressure on the pit crews for these teams as they get ready to go, particularly on Hamlin's.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on Hamlin's crew because the 48 team of Jimmy Johnson's been beating everybody out all day long. They all know that. And you got to believe that Denny Hamlin's team understands that also. Denny's been saving his car. Looks like he's got it in good shape. He's got good brakes in the car. You can see there he's got a clean racetrack. And right now, I would think that the biggest thing they're concerned about is definitely having a good pit stop and getting out in front, Brad.
Well, I think they have to be thinking about the way Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, and that entire crew have performed this entire chase. They haven't made a mistake on pit road, and they know it's getting down to the time we're going to be inside 50 laps here in about another 15-20 minutes, that they have to be up front and continuing this pace that they've got. Talking about Denny Hamlin, if they give Jimmy Johnson a shot off of pit road, it's over. He'll get out first and it'll be over with.
Now let me wrap DJ and Andy into the conversation that Rusty and DJ were having during the commercial here about how much have you got left? How much have you got left in this car? What are you saving now? And DJ, how much have you been saving as these first 420 laps have gone by?
Yeah, Alan, I think that's the key is Denny Hamlin really has saved his race car. He's been very patient all day long. And I think that's going to allow him to be the aggressor here as we get down to the closing laps. I think he's got a lot left. The one thing that all of these guys, if they have to make these green flag pit stops, have to be careful of as they come through onto this pit road, not to shortcut these corners at the speed that they think that they have designed for on their tack, because you can get yourself caught right there by shortcutting that. So they'll just have to be careful of that.
Yeah. And the pressure down is going to be on these crews too to make this last stop a good one. If they make it under green, I actually feel less pressure under green than I would under caution, because there's just so much at stake on these positions coming off pit road. You can actually probably hold a position better under green than you can under caution.
Tell you one thing I'd be concerned about, Andy, is coming down pit road under green and speeding. It's late in the race. These guys are all amped up right now. They're ready to go. And I would think as a driver, I'm trying to get everything I can on pit road, knowing it's green flag. It'd make me a little bit nervous. So I think I might be watching for some penalties if these guys do have to pit under green.
And let me just say this. It's Martinsville. We're going to have at least one more caution, aren't we, guys? Come on.
Well, we got to have one soon. Got to have one soon if they're not going to pit under green, though, Alan. They don't have a lot of fuel left.
I'm seeing some ill-handling race cars out here right now. Some guys are missing some good opportunities.
Here's Vickers on pit road. Shannon.
Tight has been the story of the day for the 83 car. They're going to continue to work on that tightness. They're going to take 4 tires. Brian Vickers also saying that he feels a slight vibration. So try to fix that up for the 83 car while he is on pit road, and he is down and away, guys.
McMurray coming in as Vickers is on his way out. Let's go down to Vince.
It's been a solid run for Jamie McMurray today. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires. The car just has been tight. He's been chattering those tires throughout the course of the day. Symptoms in the car that we've heard up and down pit lane this afternoon. Dave.
Bobby Labonte on pit road now, guys. I know, Bobby Labonte on pit road. We had a collision in the pit as I was entering. Bobby's going to get a track bar adjustment on that race car. A little bit dinged up, but running pretty well for him. And again, they have kept that car in contention all day long for the former winner at this racetrack. As they finish up, Denny Hamlin continues to circulate, and Bobby's gone. Jamie?
Not a bad day for Kyle Busch. Finished 24th or worse the last 3 times here, and today he found himself leading. He says now the car has gotten wicked loose on exit. He said, I can't pass anybody out here, including the slowest car on the racetrack. You see them hand him a drink through the window there. 4 tires for Kyle Busch was the call. Yep, that's what they're going to do. Fill it up with Sunoco fuel. And you see the wrench in the back. They are making a chassis adjustment. And the 20 of Joey Logano is on pit road. He's had a good day himself. He's been tight in the center, and that has been the word for all of these teams. 4 tires for Joey Logano, making a second start here at Martinsville, coming off his best finish since his win last weekend. He finished 5th.
The 33 of Clint Boyer's been running in the top 10 most of the afternoon, but the car's still not rotating in the center. They made a wedge and air pressure adjustment. The 99 of Carl Edwards, he said it was turning in the corner much better, but it was a little bit too free off the turn, so they're going to make an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel for the 99 of Carl Edwards. Jamie?
You see Carl Edwards pull away there on the left side, and Kevin Harvick is in his box. Has been a pretty good day for Kevin Harvick in the 29 team. They were looking for a solid finish. They started 10th, 4 tires here, chassis adjustment, and fill it up with fuel. That is the call, guys, and it is getting cool down here, so these cars could tend to change here in our final laps.
Jamie, the 33 car too fast on exit, so Clint Boyer, who's running in 7th spot, will have to come down for a pass-through penalty, and that is a major problem for the 33 car.
Yeah, we just talked about getting a penalty on these green flag stops. There's your first one.
He comes back through at 30 miles an hour, so the top 6 cars have yet to pit.
42's on the pit road.
Montoya, the 3rd place car, what should be his final green flag stop. Shannon.
Guys, they reminded Juan Pablo Montoya, do not speed. Forward right has been the problem all day with this 42 car, so they are going to continue to work on that with the chassis adjustment. They're also going to take 4 tires for Juan Pablo Montoya, who was coming off his worst finish of the season last week in Charlotte, and man, he has had a bullet all day today. Guys?
Paul Menard on pit road. That'll be a track bar adjustment.
Jimmy Johnson a little bit too tight in the center, and they've been looking to snug it up early in the run. So Jimmy Johnson with a chassis adjustment, slight air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for the 48. They've had good pit stops all day. Let's see where they finish this one. Jamie.
And Mark Martin sits 2nd in the points right now. He's tight in the center, air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and Sunoco fuel. They run around. They've been practicing these short box pit stops this week. This team has been on it. Great pit stops from the start of the race to now. And the jack is down. Dave.
Jeff Gordon said that his car had no more drive off, felt like the right rear was gone, so he's going to get a wedge adjustment, 4 tires for him. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin, the 11 car on the right of your screen, gives up the lead. They will take no wrenches over the wall, no changes to the car right now. Denny called it pretty good. He'll get 4 tires and fuel. Crew trying to work smoothly, efficiently, and not lose any more time to the other competitors on pit road, and he does a pretty good job. Jamie.
Ryan Newman started in the number 1 spot. He's tight in the center, loose off. He said if we get a track bar adjustment, we can get this car exactly where we want it to be. It's going to be 4 tires. He pulls into that front pit stop there. Who would have thought we'd have green flag stops here at Martinsville? This team going to work, no wrench in that back window, so it looks like they're going to leave that chassis alone as they work on the left side, put those sticker tires on, guys.
Pretty good stop for Denny Hamlin. The Ryan Newman's bunch, and the guys up front, Denny Hamlin's guys beat the 48 car by almost 3 seconds, guys. What a great stop for the 11 bunch.
Yeah, it was just not a very good stop for the 48 or the 24. Both Hendrick cars having problems on that pit stop.
Yeah, and Jeff Gordon had done a great job on the racetrack of working his way back up into the top 5. they've had some problems on pit road today.
Well, I tell you, this is just what Denny Hamlin needed. They're sitting there, 17.1 stop out of Jimmy Johnson. Looked like some problem on the right side or something with that car. And a 13.7, he picked up 2.5 seconds on that pit stop exchange. Just watch the stop, guys.
Yeah, you can see the clock there started on the right side. Having problems on that right rear. See, they left the lug nut hanging twice. Oh, this is really could destroy your pit stop, and it does for Jimmy Johnson. See, at 9.2 seconds on the right, that is extremely slow. It needs to be 7 or less. Actually, 6 seconds is a pretty good right side tire stop. Everything else looks good, though.
Yeah, the good thing is he's still in second place is the only thing. He had such a big
that's
lead.
The thing. That's what I was telling you about. These green flag stops are more forgiving on the crew than a caution flag.
Yeah, good point.
So you saw that 16.6 for the 48 car. It was 13.7 seconds for the 11 car, Denny Hamlin, who continues to lead. Working caution here for the 12th time today here at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in Martinsville, presented by Goodyear. Let's show you what brought out the 12th yellow flag.
See John Andretti running right there up on the racetrack. Looked like Elliott Sadler just got into the left rear. Excuse me.
Yep.
Opportunity for the 48 car that had lost a couple of seconds on that pit road exchange.
56 laps to go at this point. What do you think?
I think we're really good right now. I think we just pitted.
Sounds like Jimmy's ready to go to work.
So, folks, a double foul restart when we come back. It'll be Hamlin probably on the inside and Johnson, Montoya on the inside in row 2. How aggressive is this going to be when we wave the green? Back in Martinsville, Virginia, beautiful autumn afternoon here in the Blue Ridge Mountain. The leaves are changing, and folks, the complexion of the chase could change here in these final laps because we still have 32 cars on the racetrack, and we got 19 that are in the lead lap. So one hiccup, one mistake, one untimely spin, and you can lose a lot of points. Denny Hamlin's going to restart on the inside. Jimmy Johnson up high, and then row 2 on the inside will be Montoya. Then Brian Vickers having his best run ever at Martinsville Speedway. Here they come. The green flag in the final 53 laps at Martinsville.
Oh, Jimmy gets a great start right there.
Yeah, this is going to be key for him to have a chance to win this. He's going to have to get by Hamlin here. This is when his car's been better than Denny Hamlin.
Then he gets clear on the back straightaway.
Montoya gets in front of the 83 car of Vickers. Here's Jeff Gordon on the inside of Vickers as well for fourth spot.
Yeah, Gordon gets loose there. Vickers able to take that spot. Great day for Brian Vickers here.
Oh, Martin gets a tap from Carl Edwards.
And gets up high, and Edwards will try to go underneath Martin to take that spot away. That's 6th position.
See, Bobby Labonte still up in that mix too. Great day for him. He's in that 9th spot right now.
That caution, big break for Scott Speed. He was able to stay on the lead lap, made a pit stop under that caution.
Look at Tony Stewart in there trying to work underneath the 20 car of Logano. And he taps Logano, gets him a little sideways, and Stewart will take the position.
You see Jimmy now putting a lot of pressure on Denny Hamlin.
Well, I think just a few months ago we saw this very scenario, didn't we?
It looks like a replay.
7 months ago, it was 16 laps to go, and Hamlin was leading, and Jimmy Johnson was able to get the nudge up in turns 3 and 4. Here he comes.
Now we've got the best 4 cars all day long in the top 4 spots. See Jeff Gordon now getting his car up in the 4th. He had a good car that last long green flag run.
Yeah, he hadn't really been able to show it because of different pit strategies and things. They found themselves back in the pack. Let's see what he can do as he's got some clear track ahead of him, other than those 3 cars that he's trying to pass. And Jimmy Johnson right on Denny Hamlin's bumper through the corner.
Johnson moving in on the 11 car. Jeff Gordon now climbing in right on the back of the 42 car of Montoya for 3rd spot.
I can't read anybody's mind, but if I could read Denny Hamlin's, he's probably saying just be calm back there, guys. Don't have any more caution flags here. That's what he needs right now, is just to run this thing to the end.
Yeah, you can see just how close these speeds are right now. Stewart had the 3rd quickest time that time by.
Tony Stewart got a big break when everyone cycled through for green flag stops a moment ago because he had to pit about 15 laps before everybody else.
Well, I tell you, watch 11 car, guys. The air pressure, you can tell, is still down because there's been a lot of smoke off the splitter on the 11 car. You can see that smoke right there. Driving that baby hard. About another 10 laps, that should start going away, but we know one thing, the 11 car just gets faster as longer it goes. So if he can guard the bottom of that racetrack, I've been noticing he keeps getting higher and higher, and that's where Johnson's good at, right on the bottom.
Tony Stewart now trying to make a move, and will make a move inside of Carl Edwards. That's for the 8th spot.
Yeah, this is the best we've definitely seen Tony Stewart in his race car all day long. Finally made some adjustments that allows him to move forward. Take that spot away.
Right in front of him will be his teammate in the car he owns, Ryan Newman, in 7th. There's Newman right behind the 5 car of Mark Martin.
We got 43 laps to go, and Jimmy Johnson's all over that 11. Got some beating and banging going on behind here, though. Got a little beating and banging going on up front. Look at this right here.
Whoa, Jimmy Johnson right behind the 11 car, and the 11 car now pulls him by 5 car lengths.
Hey, Jimmy needs to be careful with that right there. He's got a good car, and he can beat the 11, but Denny's not going to take a lot of that.
And that actually cost Jimmy a little time in getting there instead of trying to get a run to pass. See back in the pack here some. Whoa, man.
Scott Speed, the 00 of Rudeman. There goes Kurt Busch by. Damage on the right front of the 00 and the left rear of the 82. David Rudeman's had such a good run today, staying in the top 15 and the top 10 for much of the day. Look at the right front of that car.
That thing's mangled.
Yeah, he'd be fortunate if that doesn't cut a tire down.
Yeah, it's smoking that right front.
He's running back in 18th position, and then David Reagan trying to go by him and take a spot away.
Speaking of David Reagan, still got things going on with David Reagan there, and Clint Boyer beating and banging.
A couple of teammates here. Tony Stewart taking that spot away from Ryan Newman. That's 7th position. Talking about peaking at the right time. The 14 car coming toward the front, and Denny Hamlin trying to hold on for 39 more laps. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Laps are clicking away here at Martinsville, and the brake pads are wearing thin, and so is the patience here. Battle for 3rd position, the 24 car of Jeff Gordon on the inside of Montoya.
Yeah, that's a great battle. These guys battled earlier in the race as Montoya was trying to pass Jeff Gordon. They had a little contact then, but there hasn't been any so far. It looks like Jeff might have that spot now.
Well, it doesn't take...
Save it a little bit. We're fine.
It's a long race, and the cream eventually rises to the top. Can't keep Jeff Gordon down long.
No.
Talked about Vickers here having the best run he's ever had at Martinsville. His best finish had been 8th there. He's running in 7th spot and trying to fend off a 5 car of Mark Martin and the 29 of Kevin Harvick.
Good run for Kevin Harvick, as well as Brian Vickers today, but Kevin Harvick's been really solid in the top 10 most of the day.
Kevin Harvick's best finish here was 7th. He's done that 3 times in his 16 starts. Remind you that following our coverage of the race over on ESPN News, we'll have extensive post-race press conference coverage. We're talking to the drivers who finished 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. You'll be able to hear their comments and some of the other interesting stories about the Battle of Martinsville today for 500 laps. This one's not over yet either here. There's the 07. Casey Mears and Carl Edwards. Mears wanting to take that 10th spot away.
Yeah, another good solid run by Casey Mears and this team. Unfortunately, this is a team that doesn't have sponsorship for next year, and they're making a crew chief change next week at Talladega with Todd Berrier going over to the Jeff Burton car to get things started there for next year.
Doug Randolph will come here. He's the Nationwide Series crew chief. Talk about Mears and what he's done the last few weeks. 15th at Kansas, 11th at California, 7th at Charlotte, and now trying to get another top 10 here at Martinsville.
About 2/10 of a second comes in handy.
When you're looking for a job.
That's right.
He's doing a great job for sure. Hopefully they can find some sponsorship and keep that thing going. Here comes Kyle Busch to the inside of Carl Edwards now. See if there's any payback here.
Yeah, we had some sparks flying here with these two earlier.
2 guys that are battling for the Nationwide Series title, pushing and shoving earlier here in the Cup race.
A little loose coming out of the corner there was Kyle Busch. he gets the chance down here in 3, he might run him up the racetrack just a little bit. Let's see.
Gives him room.
Yeah, no, he's just going to pass him the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Better car. Kyle may say better driver, but one of the two or both.
And McMurray also trying to follow through there. Remember, he had a top 10 finish here in the spring.
A solid day for Jamie. He's in the 13th spot right now.
Talking about drivers looking for jobs. Rumor has it he may be in the 1 car. That Martin Truex is vacating next year, and he makes the pass on Carl Edwards.
Okay, we got Denny Hamlin catching some traffic. And Jimmy Johnson not letting him get too far away.
Denny Hamlin, our leader now. When the day began, it was a 90-point separation between Jimmy Johnson and Mark Martin. As of right now, with Johnson running second and Martin running back in 8th position, the points lead would expand to 118 points. Differential between Johnson and Martin. See Gordon back in 3rd. He would hold the 3rd spot. The big gainer today right now would be the 42 car of Montoya up 1 spot. And Denny Hamlin up 3 positions.
You got to think Jimmy Johnson's kind of licking his chops here, looking at that traffic ahead of Denny Hamlin, figuring this might be his shot to make this pass. There's a heavy lap traffic in front of Denny. It's going to come into play before the end of the race. There's 21 laps to go.
Definitely could have an impact. Jimmy Johnson's actually starting to pick up a little bit on Denny Hamlin right now, too. He's beat him
just a little bit
half a tenth or so the last few laps.
Now, we remind you what happened here back in March, folks. 7 months ago, there were 16 laps to go. Hamlin was leading. There's the contact that Johnson moved him up the racetrack. Johnson takes the lead and goes on to lead the final 15 laps to win the race, with Hamlin finishing second. This week, when Denny Hamlin was interviewed, he said, I absolutely remember what happened back in March, and maybe it's my turn on Sunday.
Well, we've been talking about that all day, how he would pay him back, but we're getting ready to get in the same situation we were the last race. And the question now is Jimmy going to do it again?
Yeah.
If he has to.
Yeah, I've seen Jimmy Johnson move his line up a little bit in trying to catch him, where he's rolling faster through the center and then trying to drive it straighter off the corner. For a few laps there, it seemed to work, but Denny Hamlin, I think, overall, as he starts to get to this traffic now, we'll see what happens as they encounter this traffic.
Catches a brake right there. That car moved out of the way.
See Jimmy Johnson here on the brake. He's right around the bottom there. Got caution.
Uh-oh.
Debris on the racetrack, and boy, that could shovel things up.
Debris, huh?
We heard it may have come off the 44 car, the heavily damaged Dodge of A.J. Allmendinger, that's just been bandaged together to get him back on the racetrack.
Ooh, you talking about interesting now.
Uh-oh.
Fun time.
Can show you the debris coming off the 44 there, and that's the reason for the caution flag.
Yeah, I don't know what's flying out of this. You can see it coming out of the back there. He's got a lot of things that it could have possibly been.
Well, boys, 16 laps to go. The top 8 cars are all chase contenders. Hamlin, Johnson, Gordon, Montoya, Newman, Stewart, Vickers, and Martin.
Debris, huh? Yeah, they're going to give him another shot.
Well, Denny Hamlin's going to have to pull those belts tight right now and not make any mistakes, get a good restart. You know Jimmy Johnson's going to be gunning.
7th and 8th place cars coming on pit road, guys. There's the 5 car of Martin and the 83 of Vickers. Shannon.
Well, Brian Vickers and the team figured this is their only shot to get a win. Come down and get 4 fresh tires as he is on pit road right now. Tight conditions for Brian Vickers, but what a great run for this team today. Vince?
The 99 of Carl Edwards just too tight on the short run. He says he needs to hook the center better, so they're going to take a round of wedge out and give him 4 tires. He feels like it's got to be better if he's going to move up. Jamie?
And Mark Martin, the call was for 4 tires for the 5 car, their last opportunity as well. And just to note, the 14 guys of Tony Stewart, he stayed out because he did pit on lap 445. Good stop for the 5 as he gets out ahead of the 83.
Guys, good strategy or not, the 5 and the 83 coming in. We got 19 cars in the lead lap, and we do have double file restart.
Yeah, they were going the wrong way. That was a good stop, a good decision by them. I think the one that's in trouble right now would be the 14 of Tony Stewart, because he's going to be the first car that these cars with fresh tires are going to get to. And that's always the worst spot to be in. You'd be the first car that doesn't have tires.
Yeah, we saw a couple of guys, Kyle Busch and Jamie McMurray and Bobby Labonte, take on 2 tires there. See how that works for them. But you're right, Andy. That being that first guy they get to is never fun. You're trying to protect your position, yet trying to go forward too.
So you're in front of a lot of cars. You've got the buffer of those fresh tire cars having to race by them to get to you. But well, you're just a sitting duck if you're the first one they get to.
Yeah, and actually be Tony and Casey Mears will be those first 2 cars that don't have tires.
Well, we talk about how it could all come down to one final restart here between the 11 and the 48. The 42 is there, the 24.
Yeah, those guys, it might be the 42 and the 24 that are sitting in the best spots with these 2 guys.
I actually kind of like the spot that Jeff Gordon's going to be in here.
Yeah, other than the fact that he seems to struggle a little bit on the restarts himself, trying to get his car hooked up off the corner. But he's sitting in a good spot to make it happen. This is always so difficult as a driver. You got these laps on your tires. It's down to the end trying to win. You can't get any grip. Man, it's a tough position, but you got to go.
Here are the top 4 cars. And guys, you know, we're going to award the Gillette in the clutch moment to what's going to happen among these guys right here on this restart here for a possible win at Martinsville. To find out how your favorite athletes prepare for success, go to ESPN.com, search Locker Room Report.
Talk about in the clutch. They're going to have to use that clutch right now to get through those gears.
That's right. I'm watching my favorite athletes right now, see how they perform in the clutch. They're here.
Clutch, throttle, brakes, bumpers, fenders. They're going to use it all here in these final 13 laps. Green flag in Martinsville, Virginia.
Well, I saw Jeff Gordon anticipate that start really well.
He actually got a bumper on Denny Hamlin. Well, Denny does a great job getting off the corner right there.
He sure did.
And here's Jeff Gordon on the inside of his teammate Jimmy Johnson. Remember back in 2007, we saw Johnson and Gordon bump and rub coming out of the corner.
Yeah, they bump comes Montoya. He's staying up on the outside of the 24 car.
Jeff Gordon kind of sliding around. He's having trouble getting his car hooked up on the inside.
Johnson goes back by. Now Montoya will go by. Comes the 18 of Kyle Busch on the outside.
Now Montoya still got a little work to do if he's going to get clear of Jeff. He might get it done right here on this straightaway.
Busch and Newman battling up there for position right behind the 24 car. That's 5th spot.
Yeah, Hamlin's getting gone off that corner.
Yeah, man, that was a great restart he made. He just kind of slid right up in front of Jimmy Johnson, kind of held off his progress. He just has to hope now that everybody else behind him behaves.
There's the 18 car of Kyle Busch, who started 41st today.
Oh, Casey Mears up out of the groove, got really loose getting down into the corner.
Yeah, one of those fresh tire cars got to him. I think it was Mark Martin got into the back end of Casey Mears. That's the problem when you don't have tires. Those guys can just run right over you.
Kevin Harvick.
Oh, got the 98 car going up high in 3.
Lots of pushing and shoving, and Mears again sliding sideways as Reagan goes by.
Yeah, he's got a lot of junk on his tires right now. It takes a lap or 2 to get that off.
Again, great side-by-side battle. Busch and Newman 5th position. Newman was the pole sitter. Busch started in the back of the pack.
Got another side-by-side battle behind these cars, Mark Martin and Kevin Harvick, too.
There's the 5 car, the fresh tires. Remember, he came on pit road, Mark Martin. So did the 83 car. Brian Vickers is back behind him trying to move in. There comes Vickers with the fresh tires as well.
Yeah, you can see how they call Tony Stewart here, too. Mark Martin goes to the outside of Tony Stewart now.
That'll be for 8th position.
Oh, trouble. 82 into the wall and turn 1.
Hard.
Well, we mentioned there's been a caution in the final 10 laps in 7 of the last 10 races here. Now make it 8 of 11. Well, hard lick by the 82 of Scott Speed.
Denny
Hamlin have a hard time
he just can't get a break.
Look at the debris all over the racetrack. And look at Mike Ford saying, we cannot catch a break here.
Got some debris that fell off of that 82 car. It's rolling down the racetrack. A lot of cars are going around it right now. Looks like most of them are going to miss it. Spring. I couldn't tell what it was from here. It's a spring. A lot of cars dodging it down there.
Caution for the 14th time today here, coming out with just 6 laps to go. Turn 1.
Whoa. Well, if he'd have made that corner, he'd have passed about 3 cars, but unfortunately, it was just a little too much speed right there. No pun intended.
Yeah, I was going to add that for you.
Now, he can go in there wide open next week at Talladega, but it's tough to do here at Martinsville. Let's see, watch him on the outside.
You have to wonder, too, it might have been a little brake failure there. You're at the time of the race right now that possibility of that brake pedal going to the floor.
Well, he almost made it to the finish. His teammate will get the, no, who gets the free pass here?
There's the 2 car on pit road, a 33 car. We're being told will get the free pass. Clint Boyer and the 2 car of Kurt Busch in the pits. Kurt being shown in 14th position on the lead lap. There's the 07 of Casey Mears, who had gone very high on the racetrack a little bit ago, coming in for some fresh tires as well. Well, what are they thinking about down there in the 11 pit? What's Mike Ford thinking right now, Jamie?
Well, he has his glasses on here, Mike, and you're very straight-faced. What is going through your mind every time you guys get a run, another caution comes out?
Yeah, it's always possible here at Martinsville, so you got to run to the end, and yeah, I'm sure it's going to be green, white, checkered, but we've got a really good race car. Our cars have been good on the long run, so we've got some laps on our tires. Yeah, I know Kyle's the first one on tires back there, but I don't think he's going to have enough time. So if we get a clean start here, I think we can win it.
Good luck, Mike Ford. Let's go over to Dave.
And this week, driver Jeff Gordon talked about being more aggressive to catch his teammate Jimmy Johnson before the end of the year. This would be a good time to use it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, the DuPont National Guard Chevrolet's been really good on old tires today, really good in that long green flag round, but just not very good in the restarts. This last one cost us a position. Hopefully this one won't cost us anymore.
All right, we'll watch that restart close. Vince?
Jimmy Johnson will start on the outside of Denny Hamlin, and Chad Knaus just communicating with his driver here momentarily. Chad, the outside on the double file restarts hasn't been the good spot. Can you still get him from there?
I really don't know what you said, but Jimmy's done a really good job today. We've had a pretty decent day in the pits. I obviously wish that a caution hadn't come out. We've been pretty happy with the second place finish right there, but we'll see what happens. I think we've got a shot at it. Being on the outside on this restart is the most ideal place to be, obviously, but maybe we can slide back in there behind him and give him a run for his money over the last lap or two.
Thanks, Chad. Doc?
Well, that was Chad Knaus.
Yeah, I think he's worried about that 42 car. He's worried about.
Yeah, probably right here in this position, and next week at Talladega, the only times we'll ever hear Chad Knaus say, we'll take second place.
It is a green-white checkered. The last 2 fall races here, we've had green-white checkers, and guess what, folks? Jimmy Johnson has won them both. Can he do it today, or is Denny Hamlin going to pay him back for not getting the win here in the spring?
Able to stay a little closer this time, but Hamlin clears him off of turn 2.
It'll be white flag this time by Denny Hamlin, the leader. Johnson in second. Montoya right in the back.
Oh, Carl Edwards in the wall. He keeps it going, though.
And white flag.
Here comes the 18.
And the 34 car of Andretti has crashed and slid across the racetrack. The white flag waving here. And no caution yet. Here they come.
He's got his car coming right in front of these guys.
Oh, man, he better hold that thing down there.
And Denny Hamlin will take the win. Johnson second.
Denny Hamlin.
Montoya was third. Kyle Busch got by Jeff Gordon coming out of turn 4 to finish 4th. Gordon in 5th.
Nice job.
Yeah, Jamie McMurray comes in 6th. Newman 7th. Mark Martin 8th. Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart round out the top 10.
Nice job.
Nice job, everybody. Awesome car. Denny, you drove your butt off. Look good.
Well, he's exactly right about that.
That car so you can burn her down.
After back-to-back DNFs at California and Charlotte.
Yeah, he's going to burn it down.
Wow, those are some cool burnouts right there now.
From Chesterfield, Virginia. And is he ever happy? He was very frustrated after what happened here in March, dominating only to lose the lead with 16 laps to go.
Well, he did a good job today, saving his car when he needed to and using it when he needed to.
Now watch Carl Edwards there coming across. That's when they were coming down for the white flag.
Yeah, you can see he tried to drive in there. He got wheel hopped.
Now watch the 34 of Andretti comes off of Menard.
Yeah, and he was sitting past the start-finish line there. NASCAR was going to let him race back. The problem came when he got it started back and looked like he was going to pull out in front of everybody.
Now watch him as they're coming out of turn 4. A couple of guys, watch the 18 car. He gets by the 24. There is the front 3 getting by. Chad Canal's talking to his driver, letting him know there's a car on the racetrack.
He's looking like, why did the caution not come out?
Yeah, something like that.
But his driver will finish second, and Denny Hamlin will pick up his 3rd win of 2009 to join those at Pocono and Richmond.
I don't think he's finished doing donuts and burning out. He's been in all the way around the racetrack. He did it in 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Gonna get the flag now.
Yeah, you win in your home state, and you've had some difficulties the last couple of weeks. Nothing better.
Talked about the car they won with at Pocono. They brought back out here to run at Martinsville.
I'd be asking if we could take that baby to Talladega.
Unofficially, Hamlin's credited with leading 3 times for 206 laps. Let's check in and talk to Juan Pablo Montoya.
Well, what a great run for the 42 car here today at Martinsville. Getting a congratulations from Jimmy Johnson. Juan, before the race, I heard you say that patience is key here, but it was really aggressive really early. How difficult is it to be patient at a track like Martinsville?
It's not as hard as you think. We just, you race, and somebody races hard, you're going to race hard. Here is a place you don't want to wreck anybody because, payback is really bad here. But it's something that, people got to respect you. And we did what we had to, and I'll tell you, everybody in this Target team keep doing an amazing job every week. And last week we had a bad race, but we had a fast car again, and it's great.
Well, being aggressive can definitely take a toll on your car here, including your brakes. How were your brakes at the end of the run?
Brakes is not bad. When I was trying to lead again from the 48, I was really aggressive on the car, and I killed the brakes a little bit. And that long run was really hard, but I bet you it was really hard on everybody. We have good brakes. Just overall, the car is pretty good.
And the driver's pretty good, too. And the team. They had a great finish here at Martinsville. Vince?
Well, it wasn't the victory that we've become used to with Jimmy Johnson scoring here at Martinsville, but a good day just the same. 2nd place. What was the difference between 2nd place car and 1st place car from the 48 today?
I just lacked a little bit of forward bite. The back of the car we had it turning. That's hard to make it do here. It was just a little too much. Denny had the best car there that last run, and maybe the 2 runs before that he had the best. So I knew at the end of the race that 11 car was going to be there. It's going to be strong. So congratulations to him. Great day for us. Wish we could have won, but second, there's nothing wrong with that.
Double file restarts were big again. That outside position was tough. Did you feel like maybe that was a detriment to you today on those late restarts?
It was. Man, you had to take a lot of risk on the top trying to hold your position and hope that you can get to the bottom. And it worked out well for me. I got down and didn't lose any positions on those restarts. But big shout out to Store 2809, all the people at Lowe's, Chevrolet, Cobalt for all this support. And these guys behind me, all these crew guys. I'm out there on Sundays doing the job inside the car, but those guys work awfully hard at the shop, the engine shop. And I also can't go without talking about the reunion of the plane crash. So I wish we could be over there in Victory Lane, but we'll be there someday soon.
Strong day for the 48, Doc.
So Jimmy Johnson finishes second after winning 5 of the last 6, and the young man who grew up in Chesterfield, Virginia, and came here running a late model stock car, making a name for himself in those ranks, now goes to Victory Lane at Martinsville for the 2nd time in his career. Dave.
Showered where you want to be, right here in Victory Lane, Denny. What's that feeling like?
That's good. It's a good bounce back. I just got to thank all my fans that's been sticking with me, on Twitter and everyone, giving me some hope that the last 2 weeks are in the past. And, just thank everyone from FedEx, Toyota, Sprint, Gillette, just everybody, Coke, that's helped support this, JGR, everyone in the shop that's putting these cars together, because we keep bringing better cars to the racetrack every single week, and it's starting to show up.
What was it like enduring those restarts with not just the 48, but the 42 and the 24?
Yeah, I mean, I know all those guys are going to be aggressive to try to get a win, and we just had the best car there at the end. It's the 48 didn't do anything, that he shouldn't have, and make sure he protected his points lead, and and gave us a little bit of respect as well.
What's it feel like to again win in your home state, Denny?
It feels great to get 3 wins on this season, more than we've had in any other season. This is the best we've been. It's just a shame our chase is going so bad.
All right, great restarts, a great win today for Victory Lane for Denny Hamlin.
Thank you, Dave. And after the frustrations of the past couple of weeks, Denny Hamlin and this team, folks, they were really ready to celebrate with this win here today.
Hey, bud, we don't need that car, so you can burn her down.
Well, of course, he's in Virginia. He's going to burn it down.
They said we don't need it, so burn it down, and that's exactly what Denny Hamlin was doing for the fans, spinning those donuts and burning those tires. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC, brought to you by Goodyear, innovative technology to help you get there. Chevy and our award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers. And Bank of America. If you're a NASCAR fan, get NASCAR banking only from Bank of America.
A day that began with Denny Hamlin's car getting its right front corner torn off on a pit stop back at lap 46, ended with Hamlin leading the final 139 laps and celebrating in Victory Lane. Joe Gibbs Racing, the winners today here in Martinsville. Virginia native Denny Hamlin taking the checkered flag. Jimmie Johnson finishing second. Juan Pablo Montoya, Kyle Busch, and Jeff Gordon rounding out the top 5. And as the long string of victory photos with various sponsors' hats begins, Rusty can relate. There's no better feeling than that.
Oh, it's a wonderful feeling, especially for this particular fella. I mean, led the most laps today, 206 laps, qualified 17th, and drove that baby all the way up into Victory Lane. And it became very evident, Brad, about the last 150 laps he had the car to beat.
Yeah, he's been really, really tough on all the short tracks we've been to this year. And, to get that 3rd win of the season, that's a big accomplishment for Denny Hamlin, a guy who we thought in the beginning of the year would threaten for a championship. They got off to a tough start in this chase, particularly when we got up to Dover. They struggled, but this will help them bounce back somewhat.
Guy that led early in this race, then fell back into the pack, then came storming back toward the front at the end, only to wind up finishing 5th, is with Shannon.
Well, it was a 5th place finish today at Martinsville for the 24 team. Jeff Gordon, heard you say early on that passing was very difficult today, more so than usual here at Martinsville?
Well, yeah, it seemed to me to be really, really challenging. Our car was just really good on the long runs, so on the long runs we could pass guys fairly easily, but on the short runs, which is fairly common, but it just seemed like we struggled more than normal. Plus the double file restarts, you got a lot of good cars up front, not single file, double file, and just aerodynamics even affect even a short track. But I don't know, I think our car just really wasn't quite tuned up for the shorter runs. It was much better on the longer runs, and we had the long run that we needed, drove all the way up there, and then had the caution that we really didn't need.
We saw some really aggressive driving between you and Juan Pablo Montoya. We asked him about it, about driving aggressively here at Martinsville. He said you do what you got to do. Your thoughts on how you guys raced each other today?
He's an aggressive driver. We've seen it from him before. I thought I did something to make him mad because I didn't understand why he was just driving into me for no reason. But, hey, that is Martinsville, and that's kind of the way he drives. And I just tried not to make him mad anymore. I just tried to race him as clean as I could. And unfortunately, my car wasn't as good on the restarts, and he got by me. We had a great battle for 3rd. We raced clean at the end, and that's all that really matters. And I hope it's not something that transfers over because, I don't know really what I did if I did do something.
Top 5 finish for Jeff Gordon here at Martinsville.
Okay, Shannon, thanks. So let's take a look at the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup standings after race 6 of 10. Jimmie Johnson gained 28 points on Mark Martin. The lead 90 coming in. Now it is 118. Jeff Gordon lost 15 to Jimmie. Tony Stewart lost 41 to Jimmie. And Juan Pablo Montoya lost 5 points to Jimmie Johnson. Again, with 4 races to go. Though we're going to talk about the reason why it's not over yet. It has to do with what's going on next Sunday down in Talladega, Alabama. Mark Martin, let's hear from him. He's with Jamie.
And Mark Martin brings it home 8th today. What a long day, Mark. Take us through your day.
Well, I'm proud of the team and what we did. We spun the tires all day and weren't able to fix it. And, we fought hard and we gave it everything we had. And that's all we could muster today. I'm really, really proud. 8th, 7th, doesn't look like that's going to be enough to go out here and win this championship, but there's still some racing left, and a lot of things can change at Talladega. We're going to go there and race like there ain't no way we can wreck. So, you know, I'm very pleased. I'd have liked to have been hooked up better, but, you know, we couldn't get it, and we fought tooth and nail for everything we could get.
Mark, you told us at the start of the chase that come the 6th race of the chase, that's when we're really battling for this championship. How is the way that you race now, the next 4 races, going to change?
It's not. Are you kidding me? How could it change? You know, if you're trying to win, you sure as heck start out trying to win. And we're trying to win now. It's all the same. You know, we would have led the most laps and won the race today if we could have. But, you know, this stuff is tough out here. There's a lot of competition, and, you know, these guys were making more bite and turning in the center of the corner, and we had our car turning in the center, and you know, we couldn't get both parts of it. We could just get one part.
Hey, you led 1 lap. You got 5 bonus points, and he remains 2nd in the points. Thanks, Mark.
We're doing all we can. Thank you.
I just love Mark Martin's attitude. I've loved it from the start of this season. I've loved it from the start of this chase. It wasn't a bad day for Mark. He wound up with an 8th place finish. Lost a little bit of ground to Jimmy Johnson in the championship, but I really don't think his attitude has changed from the start of the season till now. Do all you can and see how it turns out. Denny Hamlin with a nice rebound Sunday after 2 difficult weeks, still celebrating. This is where the celebration gets a little messy right about now. And inside the pit studio with Rusty Wallace and Brad Daugherty, want to follow up on something Mark Martin said, and we were alluding to a minute ago. Mark referenced Talladega. He said now we'd really find out who's going to be in contention for this thing to the end of the season.
Exactly right. I mean, most people, Brad, would say, okay, Johnson's got a 118-point lead. Hey, maybe it's over, but not so soon, buddy, because we're going to Talladega, Alabama, and anything can happen right there. And I will promise you that Jimmy Johnson's very, very nervous about that race, because that 118 points can go out the window just like that.
I am one of those that says it's over. He comes in today, he does what he has to do, he increases his points lead. We go to Talladega next week. Those Hendrick hot rods are going to be hauling you know what. They're going to start up front. He's going to stay up front. He's not going to be in the scrum back there beating, banging, rooting and gouging, getting in the big one. He'll be way away from it. We leave Talladega next week, we'll be saying the same thing.
They do wreck in Talladega, though, Brad. They do wreck there.
I'm telling you, I know this, but it's over.
Here's the thing that Mark Martin said that intrigues me. He's been in so many of those Talladega wrecks, he says, the law of averages says I'm not going to be in the wreck next week.
I like that.
It's my turn. And that's a great positive attitude heading to the wild card race in the chase. Kyle Busch had a phenomenal finish. Top non-chase runner today. Came from the back of the pack to finish in 4th spot. Let's hear from him.
It says a 4th place finish for Kyle Busch today, but it was an eventful day for you. At what point did you feel like maybe you had a car that was going to be top 5? Because I know you had to struggle with it a bit.
Not until after the last pit stop there. We came and got 4 tires, and we had the right strategy. We had the right position on the tires and everything. So when we came and got those 2, you know, we were able to drive through the guys that stayed out that didn't have any tires. So it was a real good day for the M&M's Camry. Real proud of the guys and the effort we put out. We made changes on every stop and tried to make it better. We fell back a lot. It's just a product of me wearing tires out. I don't know if I can't drive this car wet, but you know, I want to thank M&M's and be sure you got to go get your Halloween candy for this next weekend. So there's chances to win $1 million in the Halloween packages this week.
Well, the fans certainly saw some good racing all over the track. You had some good battles out there today. It seemed like it was from the front to the back all over.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, if there were flags that the referees, which the NASCAR officials could throw, there'd be plenty of yellow flags being thrown for unnecessary roughness today. But that's Martinsville. It's a product of it. Hopefully we don't see retaliation or paybacks wanting to come next week.
Strong finish for Kyle Busch today. Finishes 4th.
And the nice football analogy there from Kyle, plus the nice sponsor plug about Halloween coming up. Kyle Busch started this race in 41st position. And on this tough little old bull ring, where so many cars are bunched so tightly together, he came all the way through to finish 4th, and you heard him there tip his cap to his crew for having the right strategy and getting the car right at the end. For that car, the winning car of Denny Hamlin, it's off to the post-race technical inspection after the Virginia native finished 1st in Martinsville, Virginia. Back at Martinsville Speedway, one of NASCAR's original tracks. This racetrack held one of the first races in NASCAR's inaugural season of 1949, and a tradition that's developed here over the years. That is the trophy for the winner, a Ridgeway grandfather clock. Ridgeway, Virginia, just next town up here from Martinsville, and that is what Denny Hamlin will take home after winning today's 501 lap grind on this very tough little half mile. Ryan Newman started first today, came for a 7th place finish at the end of the day. Jamie?
Well, Ryan Newman brings it home 7th today after starting on the pole. Ryan, what was the biggest battle out there today for you?
We lost track position there twice. That long green flag run we came in, I think we came in 5th and came out like 15th, and we just lost on that exchange there. But the guys did a great job with the U.S. Army Chevrolet. To finish 7th here was, you know, it wasn't a gain from the spring, but in the end it was a good run for us. Keep our nose clean the entire day and running with those guys that are running for the championship, so that's a good thing.
Tony said you guys have exceeded expectations to this point. Anything else you do is a bonus. You moved up another spot in the points today. Looking at the next 4 races, what is your goal?
Just to keep moving up. That's what we did from the very first race this year, was move up, and you know, we got to 4th and fell back, and then we restarted in 10th, and now we're working our way hopefully towards the front. Maybe not all the way to the front, but we're realistically just trying to do better each and every week.
All right, thanks, Ryan Newman.
You see the tattered remains of Casey Kane's car there in the background. A very rough and physical day on this little bullring racetrack. Carl Edwards, one of those involved in some of the rough and tumble racing. He and Kyle Busch went back and forth on the Speedway a little bit earlier. A little bump and rebump.
Well, a little bump and run right there. You can tell there's a little bit of anger right there. Let's take a look at Carl Edwards here. He sails down in the corner and
so speed it up a little bit, get right back to that left rear fender.
Payback right there. And then Carl bounced off the wall in the last couple laps, and he's with Dave right now.
Well, you can only classify as an eventful day for Carl Edwards. You come home 20th, Carl. What was that like out there?
Well, the last restart, I was just trying real hard, and I got into turn 3, and an axle hopped, and I think it was just I was on the gas too hard, or on the brake too hard. But then when I tried to go again after I hit the fence, the drive shaft was out of it. So I don't know if something's coming apart, but I think it's my fault. Just trying so hard at the end. You know, we're at a point right now we got not a lot to lose with our Aflac team in the chase. So the guys worked hard. Just this wasn't meant to be. You know, we almost made it to the end.
Thanks, Carl. Doing everything they can, guys.
And so Carl Edwards sitting now 10th in the championship and some 413 points off of the lead, as Denny Hamlin's winning Toyota has rolled into the technical inspection area to begin the scrutineering, as they like to say in some of the European racing. Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage can give us an idea what that car is going to go through over the next 90 minutes or so. Tim?
Tell you what, Alan, they're going to literally take the car apart. But when the car rolls into pit road, first thing they're going to do after they get it out of victory lane is take it to the gas pump and fill it up with fuel, because they're going to carry the car over to the inspection area. They're going to weigh it. They're also going to check the quarter panel heights. They're going to check the roof height and going to check the splitter height. But this is where it gets real serious. When they come up to the front, they're literally going to take the carburetor off, and then they're going to take the cylinder heads off the engine. They're going to check the bore stroke, make sure that it does not exceed 358.000 cubic inches. Anything over that, they'll throw you out. But they've got an extended inspection process, and they can literally check the camber in the rear wheels. They can also take the ignition boxes out, and if they really want to, they can take the car back to their inspection process in Concord, North Carolina, and leave that engine all intact and actually put the car on the chassis dyno, and then when they get through with the chassis dyno, they pull the engine out and put it on a dyno. So they can do anything they want to make sure that the car meets all the requirements produced by NASCAR.
And just like Tim was describing, thank you, Tim, there's step number 1. Fill it up full of gas before you roll it to the scales and make sure it makes weight.
And Tim is exactly right. They can do whatever they want, and they will do that too. I mean, NASCAR, this is the chase for the championship. This is a car that's in the title hunt right now. They want to make sure it's dead on, not illegal in any manner. And so, you know, I wouldn't doubt that they do take that car to the research center in Concord, North Carolina, and go through it. In fact, I pretty well guarantee they will.
That is what's done most weeks these days. Now, Denny Hamlin had a great day today. One of the guys that's a little far back in points, though, because of some troubles in the chase, Kurt Busch, came from the back toward the front, then went to the back again, and wound up in the middle of the pack at the finish in 17th spot. Let's hear from him.
Well, Kurt Busch brings it home 17th today, and I know you were optimistic when we talked yesterday about today, and you did move up through the field for a while, but take us through the second half of the race.
Yeah, I felt like we did better than average. Our COT finishes at Martinsville haven't been good, and for us to finish 17th, I thought we were 16th when we crossed the line, but scoring, who knows. So we'll take it. It was a good day for the Miller Lite Dodge. We just got hung up on pit road once because we were racing with the 26 and the 31, and we're all pitting with each other. So the first guy would pit, then I'd pit, and then the last guy would pit, and we'd all block each other in. So a rough day there. But overall, we're happy with where we ended up.
You only slipped 1 spot in the points. There's 4 races to go. Are you guys still in this thing?
No, definitely not. We'll see how it turns out.
Well, what about Talladega?
Yeah, Talladega, it's going to take a miracle for us to escape through there, but we hope we do. And you know, we gave it a good fight, but we're not a top 5 team. We can't admit that we are. But overall, the Miller Lite Dodge has put up a good fight this year, and there's 4 more to go. We'll be all right.
It was a hard-fought battle today. Thanks, Kurt Busch.
Kurt 6th in points, 240 from the lead, heading to next Sunday's race. Talladega, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series stars for 500 miles on the world's fastest speedway. Of course, the big threat is the big wreck. Will Jimmy Johnson be in it? Will any of the other chasers be in it? And how will the points look on the other side of the Amp Energy 500 at Talladega? Coverage begins next Sunday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific on ABC with NASCAR Countdown. Denny Hamlin with his first win ever in a chase race, celebrating in Martinsville Speedway's Victory Lane on this Sunday. 4 races left in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, and you can join us at any of the remaining venues: Talladega, Alabama, Fort Worth, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, and Homestead, Miami in Florida. Tickets available to the final 4 races of the season. Check out NASCAR.com/tickets. And of course, we'll have all of those races live right here on ABC. Casey Mears, one of those guys who came into this race while we look at the fan taking home collectors.
That young'un got him some stuff.
Taking home collection. And then he's going to get home.
Go.
And his wife's going to look at him and say, and what are we going to do with that?
I brought it home, honey. You should have seen the last wreck.
Yeah.
That was Scott Speed's car, wasn't it?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure was.
Put it in the living room.
So I started to talk about guys who ran well all day and got tangled up at the end of this race and end up with a disappointing finish. Casey Mears, certainly one of those, fighting for a job for next year, had a great day, but wound up 18th. Dave?
Casey Mears finished 18th, but it seemed like the car ran better than that all day long. Casey, what happened near the end of the race?
We had a really good Jack Daniels Chevrolet. Real proud of the guys. Last race with Todd Berry and those guys, so we were really wanting to have a good showing. But, you know, just right at the end, the 5 got into me in one of those last few laps. We didn't have tires. A lot of guys took tires there at the end. We were hanging on to what we could, and I don't know if he just got in too hot or what, but he got into the back of us and got us up in the marbles. We just lost a lot of spots. But, you know, you can't really control stuff like that. I'm just proud of the car that we had here today and how we ran here today. You know, this team's really clicking. It's sad to see it, you know, getting taken apart like it is. But, you know, I understand the way things go, and obviously there's sponsorship issues, and there's a bigger picture that the team needs to look at. It's just frustrating to be in this spot. But had a lot of fun today, you know, outside of that last issue. And, you know, we'll go on next week. Hopefully have a good one at Talladega.
All right, so thoughts of Casey Mears as there's the car on the scales.
Being scrutineered, as you said it. You know, I went to England, and they scrutineered that car I took over there that I raced. So I totally understand that word. And, Brad, they are, you know, putting a microscope on that baby, that's for sure.
No stone unturned. They will look at every nut and bolt in this race car, and like you say, they'll go through the bore and stroke and check it out and make sure she's all legal, and as I'm sure it is. And it's quite a comprehensive process, and that's why this sport is as good as it is, because they keep the playing field pretty level.
Tony Stewart, 4th in points today, came away from this race with a 9th place finish. Darian Grubb is responsible for making sure his car passes scrutineering. Let's hear from Darian. Vince?
Bit of a frustrating day for Tony Stewart in the 14 with crew chief Darian Grubb. How would you assess a 9th place finish today? I know it wasn't what you wanted.
Definitely not. It was definitely a survival day for us. We were a lot better, I think, taking off the start of the race. We made the car better all day, and right in the middle of the race we had the car really good, had a bad pit stop and fell back in traffic, so had to make up for that, had to do a little strategy thing there, and that ended up putting us back in the field, but we were able to run up into the top 5 from there. But then the way the cautions and everything played out at the end, we just struggled to hang on to the top 10 there at the end.
How would you describe the racing we saw out there today?
It was tough. I mean, the guys, there was nobody giving away any positions or anything. You had to fight to earn it. It was definitely some pretty rough racing out there.
Darian Grubb, Tony Stewart's crew chief. Stewart finishes 9th today, stays 4th in the points.
Rusty, as you look back over our shoulders out the pit studio into the Sprint Cup garage area, you watch these crew members and drivers, and you hear the interviews and you see the looks on their face. Can you put into words what it's like to run 500 laps here and be done at the end of the day?
It's one of the toughest races out there, because everybody comes into the race knowing that they might have problems. They might, and it's all mechanical stuff they're concerned about. They're concerned about, you know, a transmission or a rear end gear, or burning their brakes up, or tearing the fenders off where the car won't handle. And to get out of this thing, you sit there and you're leaning into your car and you go, Whew, let's go home. I am tired. That's what they think.
I mean, you think about all the mental stuff that goes on during the week, but when you come here or you race at Bristol or Dover, after you get out of the race car, you're physically spent. And everything that you've thought about all weekend and everything that you've felt all weekend kind of comes crashing down on you. So, yeah, you're wore out after this event.
The 11 crossing the scales and headed on to the next stop in technical inspection. 3 men who had to keep track of all the bumping and banging going on out there for us all day are still on their feet up in the booth. Doc, DJ, and Andy, some thoughts on the race, gentlemen?
Well, we think Denny Hamlin did a great job, and I want to talk a little about the chase here. With all due respect to our hot dog eating 7-footer in the pit studio, I don't think this chase is over, guys. I mean, we go to Talladega next week, and folks, Jimmy Johnson's only DNF of the year came at Talladega back in the spring, and he has struggled there over the years. What do you think?
I think they just go there and race. You know, there's nothing that you can do. There's a couple of different strategies. You can run hard, try to keep yourself out of trouble that way all day. That's difficult to do. You know, they're going to a smaller plate. That's going to keep things bunched up even more than what it has in the past. If I were those guys, I would opt to maybe ride back a little ways and let things happen. And when it gets time to go, and I'm talking literally, you've got to wait till 10 laps to go before you make that move. You make it earlier than that, you need to be going forward at the end. So, but that's not really these guys' style, and we'll see what they do. But I look for them to go there and race hard and see what comes out.
Yeah, nobody knows how to do that better than Dale, by the way. He's done it to perfection. He'll hang out back there. You think he's not even in the race, and then all of a sudden, bam, at the end, there he is. But I would say to race the way you know how to race. I'm not sure they know how to do that, and I would just go in there and say, okay, stay on a rhythm, do what we can do. It's a crapshoot either way. You can get involved in a crash at the front or the back, so you just got to go there, hope for the best, and race the way you know how to race.
They call Talladega the wild card. Mark Martin calls it the lottery. You never know what's going to happen there. We're going to be there next Sunday for the stop number 7 in the chase. How about some proud parents who watch their son realize a dream by winning again here at Martinsville Speedway? Dave.
And Doc, with Denny and Mary Lou Hamlin now. And by the way, they call Talladega the wild card. They used to call Denny Hurricane Hamlin. And when he brought the whole family, including Uncle Galen, over here to the track, maybe that's how they won so many short track races, because they intimidated. But today, you saw your boy do it again, Mary Lou. What does that mean to you guys?
Everything. I mean, we've got fans here from his fan club, even from Alaska. It was wonderful.
I know, they were pointing at him up here. They came all the way from Alaska for Charlotte, and then they stayed a week?
Yep, they came for the fan club event. They come every single year, and they were his good luck charm.
And Denny, how much fun is it to watch your son again win at Martinsville?
This is the second time he's made me cry this year. It's tremendous. You know, we've run this track so many times with the late models and came so close to winning, and just flat tire with 2 laps to go, and you know, to win it, and especially tonight, this is all determination. I mean, you could see it in his eyes, you could hear it in his voice on the radio, and he was just determined he was going to win, and I'm so proud of him. So
Alan, a victory here in Virginia meets really close to home for this family.
And talking about determination, Denny Hamlin had to overcome, about 4 late restarts with Jimmy Johnson on his outside, and yet managed to hang on to score the victory today here in his home state of Virginia. So as the fans file out, the teams clean up and load their equipment in the garage area. We take just a moment and mentioned for you to not forget Desperate Housewives.
Oh, yeah.
All new tonight at 9 Eastern, 8 Central Time. That's coming up later on ABC.
Now watch your back on Wisteria Lane, boy. I'll tell you that right now.
Some wild happenings tonight.
You don't mess around on Wisteria Lane. Get in trouble, Jack.
And so we turn our attention now from Martinsville on to Talladega next weekend, from the shortest and slowest track on the NASCAR Sprint Cup circuit to the biggest and fastest and wildest, and a completely different type of racing for a driver.
Absolutely, and you don't know if you have anything in control or not. It's all about survival at Talladega. That's going to be the big story when it's all said and done. I can tell you then, when these drivers are out of that place, then they can talk about the championship, but nobody knows until Talladega's over.
And you look at these top drivers, the top 4 in points now, and how they fared in the spring race in late April at Talladega. Not too good.
Look, guys, if we don't recognize history, it's soon to repeat itself. This young man has won 3 consecutive championships, and he's got the biggest point lead at this point over any of those championships going into this race. So I say we're looking at the 4-time heavyweight champ, Jimmy Johnson.
But I have never been a quitter. I'm not going to give up. I can get it done if I'm Mark Martin. I'm going to still try if I'm Montoya. If you tell me it's over, I can show you a loser, and those cats are not losers.
It's an anything can happen day next Sunday at Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama. We very much look forward to race 7 in the chase for the Sprint Cup.
4-time consecutive heavyweight champion.
It might be. You never know. So we started the day today talking about time, the clock ticking on drivers' hopes to win the championship, completing 500 laps in Martinsville in the shortest amount of time. In the end, it was Denny Hamlin, the Virginia native, who did that and took home the Grandfather Clock Trophy as the winner today here in Martinsville, Virginia. And now we turn our attention to the fastest track on the circuit. And next Sunday's race, where speeds will top 200 miles per hour, and what will happen when we move next week to Talladega.
Time is running out.
Running sideways, starting was okay, and then he's starting to hit me every freaking corner. I don't know what's wrong with him, but I'm pissed.
Montoya is not afraid to do whatever he has to win, and he's not intimidated by Jimmy Johnson at all.
Looking low, looking low.
Jimmy Johnson better hope that this thing comes down to a short run, because Denny Hamlin definitely has a superior car on a longer run. Jimmy Johnson right on Denny Hamlin's bumper.
Nice job, everybody. Awesome car. Denny, you drove your butt off. Look good.
The chase continues. This has been a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.